2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions. Only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. TD. That's right. I'm not even using my real name no more so I can free and liberate myself in this wonderfulness that we call the C3 Panthers Podcast, where I hang out with my homeboy, Cody Lashney. How you doing, my friend?
Professor, what's up, man? We have so much to talk about. Our season was salvaged by the big win in Houston. The chat room is already lit. Underground West, Trail 1, Joey Escovel, Jeremy Clancy, Joshua Mass, all the names. If I didn't read you, you know I love you. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Greg Schlager in the house, too. Greg, how are you, my friend? A.k.a. the Bat Daddy 52.
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Doing really well.
All right, he's feeling good.
I'm feeling real good, man. Just trying to, like I said, week out of surgery, still on the painkillers and still all that good stuff. Just trying to talk some Panthers football and have a good time.
No painkillers needed here when there's just a shot of excitement coming with the feeling of being 2-2 now on a 2-game winning streak. Now hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars in what will be the Ring of Honor game, where we will be inducting Steve Smith, Wesley Walls, Jake Delhomme, and one more. Who is it?
Jordan Gross.
Jordan Gross, thank you. Into the Ring of Honor, Hall of Honor for the Carolina Panthers. Hall of Honor. Man. I know, Hall of Honor. It's an important game or important moment for our franchise, right? Raising some banners, raising some pride. We're 2-2 now. And coming on a 2-game winning streak without our starting quarterback, which is an amazing feat in itself, but we'll be hosting a surging and really swagadocious a team full of drip and the sauce and the juice. Give me some napkins at this point. It's like eating chicken wings. The sauce is everywhere. Gardner Minshew, I mean, he is the white Cam Newton. That's what he is. And not in his play style, but in his just persona and awesomeness. Loving some Gardner Minshew, but they're also 2-2 on a 2-game winning streak, playing tough as well, coming to Bank of America. And we're going to try to see who, really a big game, right? We're going to be talking about that tonight. We're also going to have Phillip Heilman from The Athletic. He covers the Jacksonville Jaguars. He will help preview the game. We're going to talk a little NFC South and the standings and get to your cat calls. The number is 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button. Support the show by participating in the chat room, which those cats lead the show. This is my new saying, is the people in the YouTube chatters lead the show. And then we get this rally cry from the cat calls at 252-228-5098 that puts us over the top. It's like the cavalry followed by just the storm of the infantry. It's wonderful to see people coming in and supporting their team. We're trying to grow Panther Nation together. Don't forget, we're hanging out in the Vivid Seats studio tonight. And Cody, I mean, we're off of a Arizona win. Man, not Arizona win, a Houston win. We thought that the Houston Texans would be a giant test for the Carolina Panthers. Were they that giant test?
Well, so there's a bit of a conundrum, right? Because every metric that there is ranks the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans at the bottom of the line in terms of protecting their quarterback. So that doesn't bode too well. But then
sounds like the Panthers.
I know, but that's what I'm talking about, though. Like the defense is the name of the game. I mean, that's what we're all talking about. If you look at some of the stats, we're number 1 in passing defense. We're tied for first in quarterback hits. We're, I believe, we're number 2 in sacks. I mean, dude, our defense is nasty. And I kind of think that instead of just saying, oh, well, we went up against bad offensive lines, dude, this defensive front is absolutely humming, boy. And I'm loving it, man. This defense is kicking the pants. It feels good to talk about. And with today's news of K'Wan Short having to go on IR, it doesn't leave me as nervous as that news might otherwise at some other point in time.
Yeah. I can agree with all that you're saying there. The only thing I got to say about the defense is I know we were talking, you were saying the last 2 games they played really crappy offensive lines. If they hadn't played well, if they'd have gotten 1 or 2 sacks and the quarterback had a little more time, I'd be worried. But I know you're not saying you're worried, but I'm pretty happy with the way it went because we should dominate against terrible offensive lines, and we did. So they did exactly what they were supposed to do. I'm very happy with the outcome of the defense. I think the defense is really, really good. Well enough to carry us to a championship this year if we can put the offensive effort forward.
Yeah.
CK's in the house. CK, are we going to this game or what?
Oh yeah, man, we're gonna have a blast.
So we're gonna be inducting some legends into the house. We're hosting this Jacksonville team. The Panthers have come off of 2 wins. CK, where do you now gauge the Panthers after watching them against what we thought was a formidable team in the Houston Texans, right? Is that their defense is nothing to joke about. I mean, right? It's a legitimate defense coupled with an offense that has the ability to score. Their defense did play well, but our defense played better. And their offense, our defense was able to keep their offense. Now, they did miss some opportunities there, as Ron Rivera would say. But now that we've seen 2, we have more data to assess. You have the Houston game. Now you have the Arizona game. Now you have the Houston game. Now that you have a little bit more data, where are you at on this team?
You know, it's definitely a lot better than we were 2 weeks ago, right? You know, we have a defense that's showing out every week so far for the past couple of weeks. I mean, you feel a lot better, and I said it in my cat call for the post game show. You feel a lot better having, you know, even if Kyle Allen turns out to be just what Case Keenum was for the Vikings back in 2017. You know, hey, we're fine with that. If that means Cam gets healthy, he can come back for the second half of the season. I'm fine with that. We just got to see what we actually have. I mean, if our defense continues to get better, which it looks like by all accounts it's doing, it's getting better. They're meshing well together. I don't feel nearly as bad about this team as I once did because we're kind of going back to the, you know, Carolina Panthers type of play, which is, you know, win on defense and hopefully your offense can pick it up and actually win games by a pretty large margin. But if not, the defense is there to pick you up.
I saw some strange talk on Twitter yesterday, and I tagged maybe Cody in some of it. And that is that some people, right after we go in the post game, and not that they were listening to us, so it's not like they were trying to refute what I was saying, but I'm on the post game saying, dang, Reid means so much to this defense, right? Is that all of a sudden we now see a secondary that doesn't ever look out of place, right? You lose Dante Jackson, you don't miss a beat. You know, is that we have a secondary that has held teams to less yards than any other team in the league. And then I look at Twitter, and the tweet that I see fired off is that Reid can't tackle. Now, he does try to – in the tweet, to be fair to the tweet, he was saying, like, he does try to blow people up. He tries to thump rather than really tackling, which it does happen, but I think that happens, like, throughout the league on a lot of cats.
All right.
But then at the other – and then it said, not good against the deep ball. Not a good deep defender. And then, Cody, they threw Ray under the bus. And they were like, and Ray is bad for this team. I thought after the game, weren't we feeling like this is that Reid makes this defense better? It's pretty clear that he is a positive addition. And 2, while Ray isn't like lighting the league on fire and he let that one punt go over his head, he's not been bad back there.
No, and, I feel like, listen, I'm a Clemson fan and it came from Clemson, and he never really produced a ton at Clemson, but one of the things that that we know about him is that he's always going to be a threat to do either of 2 things: make a boneheaded play and fumble, or do like what he did and let the ball bounce too far, or he's going to take it to the house. I mean, he really is a dynamic athlete and a good player. I'm not ready to say that Ray has been terrible for us. And I think that he really has potential to be a good returner. And then, when it comes to Reid, I kind of feel like we know who he is right now. He's an aggressive safety. You want him traveling that, big, strong safety position and basically working as a hybrid linebacker. And I feel like that's where he excels on our team. He had a nice blitz that was converted into a sack. And then as far as the deep ball, Eric was the one that knocked down the pass that won the football game deep in the end zone. Yep. So I don't know, man. I'm not huge on those criticisms. They're not perfect. They haven't been perfect, but who has on our football team?
Well, not to jump in, but I mean, think about it from this perspective. Luke had a few missed tackles, right? I mean, and luckily they were called. That one was called back when him and Shaq both missed some, tackles. But it was. I didn't see enough missed tackles from Eric Reid to make it noteworthy. And when you,
I feel like that was last year. I feel like that was that you're letting some of your kind of views from last year creep in. Because we did see a couple missed tackles last year, but I don't know if it's as predominant as it was. Continue, CK.
But and then the other piece was Ray McCloud. I mean, I want to piggyback on what Cody said. I mean, he is honestly probably been one of the more exciting kick returners that's actually stayed healthy outside of Damiere Byrd, who couldn't last more than a game or two. I'm actually, every time we get a punt, man, I'm excited for that. Now, granted, that was a 70-yard punt that he let go on, but I mean, at the same time, and I'm glad the announcers were on his side. They were saying, like, it's kind of easy to lose the ball up in those rafters,
Yeah.
So,
you know what the worst thing to do is to touch it and turn it over.
Yeah.
Right? It's to run up into traffic trying to make too much of a play.
Smarter play.
It was what a bounce. What a bounce. And Cody, by the way, that's why you're the most popular guy on this show. That analysis to come in and talk about Eric Reid, I think is I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Listen, I agree with what you said too about how, we had these kind of notions of who Eric Reid was last year and the penalties and the fines and, the drug testing. And there's this kind of narrative I feel that's already in the head of some people about Eric, but I feel he's been fantastic, man. I know we talked about Trey Boston and Eric Reid being one of the best safety tandems that we've probably ever had for the Panthers.
Right? So, agreed.
Yeah, I'm not ready to come down too hard on either of those guys. And I also want to hit on, people have no idea how hard it is to be a punt returner. Like, not just receiver. Yeah, that's not easy to do, man.
It's the most dangerous position in the NFL.
Yes, and you have a bunch of defensive linemen that have already been sprinting at you, and you're trying to look for the ball. And
they're trying to get you to cough it up. Isn't the best thing that they could – isn't it? It's like the equivalent of like yoking on posterizing somebody in the NBA would be for a gunner to blast a punt returner as he's catching it with no penalty. Right? Yeah. It's the sexiest
big tackle in the backfield,
and it is dangerous. You have to, and that's the problem for Damiere Byrd is he had to prove himself in a place that really wasn't fair to him. He was kind of dynamic in it, but it is the most dangerous thing. You shouldn't that's like putting a toddler out there and running around. Now, I think Ray has been fine. Then continue the conversation, and I don't want to I'm not trying to dog the person because I think they had good points. because like people said in the Jetta George said in the chat room is like he needs to wrap up. These are fair criticisms, right? When you miss a tackle, when you don't do that, when you try to thump and thud as he likes to do, that's it's kind of the old school, like you come across the middle and trying to teach you a lesson more than do what's fundamentally sound. I get that. I think there's a legitimate criticisms, but I think CK said is what if we see this with Luke at times? Hey, James Bradbury has had one of the best seasons that he's ever had, or one of the best that he's having a phenomenal season, and he's bit twice, right? He bit in the Arizona game, the same thing on the run, could have made a tackle. He did it again in this game against two, that one play that he got made looking funky with, and he missed the tackle. Are you ready to say that he is not having a good season? No, I think that's where I think I'm really excited about Eric Reid, is that I think the quality of defense we've gotten in the secondary has become more consistent while he's been there.
Yeah, and it's more of a problem with Dante than Eric Reid.
Right, exactly.
Now, you can make the argument that Eric Reid has been in the NFL longer and he should have those basics kind of under wrap more, but then there's the coaching aspect to it too. It doesn't matter what season you've been playing, how long you've been playing for. You have to practice those fundamentals and wrap up all the time. So we're not saying that Eric doesn't do that, but it's not as much of a problem as certain people are trying to make it out to be.
Let's talk about. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
I was say, just talking about Reid, what y'all were talking about. Cody, you raised a great point there at the end where he batted down the ball on that Hail Mary. If you go back and watch that play, he jumps over the guy's back and bats the ball down. Had he not done that, there's nobody in front of him. That guy's going to catch that ball and score a touchdown. Like that was what that swatting that ball said. Like if you go back and watch it, there's nobody in front of him except for another defender or another receiver. So he's going to catch that ball.
Yes.
And the thing about Eric Reid is, man, he's a home run hitter. You're going to get either an amazing play out of him or he's going to get burned. And it's kind of the same way Dante Jackson is, just a little bit younger.
Both from
Bradbury's more level-headed of those three. But that's what you're going to get out of him, man. And all you can hope for is that the amazing plays outweigh the ones that are kind of bonehead plays that he goes for that maybe he could have played it safer and stopped the ball instead of going for the pick. You just got to kind of hope for that. But that's what you're going to get out of him. And you need guys like that on your team. I'm very happy with Eric Reid and the production he's given us on our team. So.
Let's turn the conversation to Christian McCaffrey.
Ooh, okay.
Christian McCaffrey, sensational. First, I'd like to point this one. It's kind of a big game. A big game we're playing this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, just among the lure of Christian McCaffrey, because I admittedly said that, and I'm going to eat my crow. I'm just wrong. I was just wrong. And this is that if I had my pick, if I just had either or, like I could pick between Fournette and McCaffrey, then I would go Fournette because it would be safer.
Oh, I'm going to bring that up later.
And I actually think that, and actually, I don't even think I said it would be safer. I thought Fournette was going to come into the league and be like be a better player and be like AP type player. So I was wrong. I was completely wrong. And not wrong, but I was wrong, but I didn't say that Christian McCaffrey is going to be bad. I do want to preference that. But Christian McCaffrey has been far better than I could have ever imagined. He's in the conversation for me for a type of LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk quality player. He's already on a Hall of Fame track to me. So my question to you guys now, as we have this kind of revenge match, we get to see, and Fournette had his biggest game of his career last week, so kind of fits the billing for a good MMA matchup between McCaffrey and Fournette. But when it comes to McCaffrey, the talk has been about, should we worry about how much we use him? Your thoughts on the use of Christian McCaffrey playing almost every snap? And I'll start with this. I'll start with Greg on this, and we'll go CK and then Cody. Greg, what do you got? How do you feel about the usage of McCaffrey?
I think the usage of McCaffrey is a lot on him. I think the coaches have kind of given him this, we're going to play you as much as you feel like you can play type deal. And we all know that whenever we have a young, really talented position player, we don't mind putting them in danger, via Cam Newton. But as far as his usage goes, man, as long as he's out there and he's wanting to do it, some people are just workhorses like that. You know, I don't think he's going to be able to do this for years to come. But in his first few years in the league, if he wants to do this, and he's out there for a reason too, because he gets no respect. Nobody talks like he leads the league in so many different stats, and nobody talks about him when they talk about the best running backs in the NFL. They talk about Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara and Saquon Barkley and all those guys. They never talk about Christian McCaffrey, and he's out there to prove that wrong, I feel. As far as him being used too much, I don't think he is, because even though he's in almost every play, he's not being used in every play. A lot of times he's out as a wide receiver, a blocker, which I know still does a lot of work and can, tick away at the time you get to play, in the long haul, but it's not running down the middle every single play. So, and I got an interesting stat with Leonard Fournette here in a little while, and we'll talk about that. But no, I don't think they're using him too much. I think if he's down to do it, then he can do it, and he is showing why he is the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's hard for me to disagree with that. And by the way, before we get to CK here, who is, by the way, wearing his Christian McCaffrey jersey tonight, so
nice one too.
we have to get his opinion on this. But today they released a video of the Panthers YouTube, and Brian Burns was mic'd up, and on the pass where Christian had to lay out and bobble the ball and ended up making the reception, Brian Burns and I think it was Kyle Love are talking about he might actually be the best running back in the NFL right now. So a lot of I know the players are definitely starting to come onto that notion. But CK, what do you think about this, man, with that beautiful jersey that you're wearing?
Oh, man, and I just got it today. I ordered it on Friday, and I was so happy that he had a good production on Sunday. But
it felt like you got validated. Your purchase was validated.
God, yeah, man, it was especially the amount. I was going to go with one of those cheap ones, but I went for the heavy duty with that's stitched and everything. So
yeah,
but yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, one of my biggest pet peeves is when people sit there and say we're wearing him down, and then you look at the numbers of. So one of the comparisons, I was reading an article, and I think it was on NFL.com, and they were talking about how he's on pace for just shy of what DeMarco Murray did when he broke the Emmitt Smith record for the Cowboys, right?
What were those numbers?
It was like 444 touches or something. It was something crazy, but it was talking about touches, not the actual production, I should say.
Right.
But the issue I had with the article is it said, and DeMarco, it's safe to mention that DeMarco Murray was never the same after that season. And I'm like,
he was also like 29.
Here's the thing, yeah, he wasn't anywhere close to McCaffrey's ability before that season, and he had one of the best offensive lines in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, and he got traded that season too, didn't he? So of course he's not going to be as good behind a worse offensive line.
Exactly.
And he was 28. I think he was like 28 when that happened too. He was not 20. He's not a spring chicken.
And you read some of Norv Turner's offenses. Christian McCaffrey gets the ball less on the touches, at least last year, that is, than LaDainian Tomlinson ever had. Like any of his running backs, they always have more touches than Christian McCaffrey had the entire season last year. So there is no validation in that. They're just looking at it. They're still using his draft profile against him. And what I mean by that, he's too little to run between the tackles. Did I take your point, Tony?
Yes. No, great. Go. I'm glad you agree with me. I am so glad that I was thinking about this today. I felt like I was buying into the narrative, right? I felt like I had been baited into thinking that I should be more upset with my coaching staff about not being more protective over this great asset we got. Hell no. You got a car that's the best, baddest ass car in the world. You take it out and you drive it on Sundays. Right? And I went and looked up the numbers. And you're right. LaDainian Tomlinson is the biggest measure, right? Is that he's probably the worst comparison because he averaged over 300 carries a year, right? Christian McCaffrey has not. Last year, he had 219 rushes. The year before, he had 435. In 2019, he's had 86. So you do 86 times 4. What's that? He's like just at 300. Marshall Faulk, again. Marshall Faulk, one of the most Hall of Famer. One of these guys, he was averaging about 260. This is the real comparison to Christian McCaffrey is Marshall Faulk. because he was averaging about 260, 270 carries, or maybe a little less than that, and again, 80, 90 targets. Right? So you're talking about a guy that you either get 300 rushes and 50 targets, or you get, say, for instance, 260 rushes and a little bit more targets on the receiving, which I think is friendly on your body. My point that I think that I agree 100% with CK is I don't remember saying this. I really think we should take Marshall Faulk off the field to protect him.
Right.
It was like, hell nah. Give the damn ball to Marshall Faulk. And that's how I feel about Christian McCaffrey, is that yes, you're always one play away from an injury. Okay, if you are concerned about his durability and how much he means to the team, then maybe you mix up his touches, more receptions rather than carries. But I don't know if sheltering a player, would it make you feel better? Actually, would this conversation go away if we gave Jordan Scarlett 3 carries a game? 3 carries a game.
Okay, but this is
would it go away?
Because Moneybags Lawson says we need to use him as a weapon and not a crutch. And what I'm saying is to play Christian McCaffrey even 10 snaps less or 7 than what he's playing now, you're not stopping him from being a superstar, from being a player that can take over the football game at any moment.
Are you really helping him that much?
Well, yeah, because, so you even brought it up on Sunday. Why not have Jordan Scarlett and Christian McCaffrey in the game and create the illusion of, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to motion out Christian, hand it off to Jordan? I mean, I feel like,
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Well, there's two things about that. One, nobody's scared of Jordan Scarlett right now. And if you have
he doesn't have any play time. How are you going to be afraid of him?
I'll give you that. But if you have Christian McCaffrey on the field, they're gonna be scared of him regardless, because even when he's getting the ball, you can't stop him. Okay,
that's fine. Put him out in the receiver and put Scarlett in the backfield. I'm with Cody on this.
I think that playing him the way we're playing him is good, because he's the kind of guy that needs to play a lot to get those numbers when he gets his engine going. Look at his first season where he was splitting the ball and he wasn't carrying the ball nearly as much. He was on the field maybe half of the time, and he didn't have nearly as productive of a season. You give him the ball and you let him do what he's supposed to do, and he's the best player in the NFL.
And shout out to Ross Gold for the $5 super chat. Agreeing with me, saying I just don't like playing them when we're up like we did against Arizona.
There's the good. All right, now then we're really getting into a good conversation then, right?
Yeah,
is that we're talking about, are there ways that we can use him without taking him off the field that still keep him on the field? Because not having you're better with him on the field no matter what. No but you're doubt. Right. If you're ahead, then let's talk about, and I think that's where we were at in that Arizona game, some different things. Hey, guys, if you're heading to the game this weekend, like CK and I are, to witness the induction of these Panther greats, check out Vivid Seats. They can take care of you, getting you the seats you want for the price you want. Use the promo code OVERTIME. We also have Phillip Heilman from The Athletic joining any moment right now to the show to help us preview the Jags. Thank you for your support and conversation in the chat room. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Share the podcast. We have been growing so much, guys. The numbers have been incredible. The community we're building has been fantastic. And it's because really every week, no matter good, bad, or ugly, we're here chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions. And guys, look at the perfect timing here. Phillip Heilman from The Athletic joining the C3 Panthers podcast. Phillip, you tell us a little bit, how long have you been covering the Jaguars? I know The Athletic is rather new, but it is the number, in my opinion, it has become the gold standard of sports journalism at this point in a very short time. But just tell us a little bit of your background before The Athletic, or whatever you want to share.
Yeah, for sure, guys. So first season covering the Jaguars at The Athletic right now. I worked at the Florida Times-Union, the newspaper in Jacksonville, for about 5 years prior to that. Covered the last 2 or 3 seasons of the Jags. So the good run in 2017 was the AFC title game. A couple years before that, where some pretty mixed results, and then last year's complete debacle. So seeing a little bit of everything, and this year it's hard to really get a grasp of what's going on in Jacksonville right now, because it's been such a wild start to the season, and a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of ugly, and a lot of fascinating so far.
Well, we are both, and what I like about this matchup coming in, and two of us are going to the game this weekend. Not only one of us lives in Charlotte, so we're just a group of guys that have been talking about the Panthers for the last 6 years every week. We will not stop. We're going to the game this weekend. It's the Hall of Honor game where we're going to be inducting, some big names. Our first induction of like some Panther greats into. We're trying to create a franchise legend. Like kind of a lure. And what we have done is and interestingly, in this moment, as the Jaguars and the Panthers come into the league both as expansion teams at the same time, have had somewhat of found some success as young teams. But my question to you is, now that the Jaguars, we're both 2-2 coming in this game. We started 0-2, I believe, or I know we did. I believe the Jaguars also started 0-2, correct?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So we're both on 2-game win streaks. We're 2 on the road. This game means a lot for these teams at this point. It's an important junction, I think. Someone's going to come out a winner here. Where are the Jaguars at as a team right now? Like you said, you're having a hard time grasping it, but what's the temperature right now?
Yeah, it was coming out of week 2, it was extremely hot. We had, the whole Jalen Ramsey saga where he requested a trade after the sideline spat with Doug Marrone in a 13-12 loss where Marrone opted to go for the 2-point conversion at the late in the fourth quarter and didn't work out. So that's been a storyline that sort of has hung over the franchise for the last couple of weeks. Ramsey played the Thursday night game a couple weeks ago in week 3 against Tennessee, and the Jaguars won. He sat out for the first time in his career on Sunday in Denver with what is being described as a back ailment, but some people, the conspiracy theorists among us say, maybe he's angling and trying to put pressure on the team to get out of town. But yeah, so it really had a chance to go sideways. You're 0-2 if you're Jacksonville at one point. You've lost your quarterback, your starter Nick Foles, after 10 snaps, a broken left clavicle, and he's going to be out until at least week 11. And your replacement is a 6th-round rookie in Gardner Minshew, who did, a lot of awesome things last year at Washington State, but in 30 drives during the preseason didn't produce a single touchdown. So I was writing basically that the Jags, needed to go get a veteran option behind Foles before the season even began. And, I was very skeptical of what Gardner Minshew would do for them. And I've been proven completely wrong. I've got egg all over my face. He's led them to 2 wins, as you mentioned, 2-game winning streak coming in. And, the Jags have a real opportunity ahead of them here. They get, Carolina, who I assume will not have Cam Newton. They've got New Orleans the following week, no Drew Brees. And then it's Cincinnati and the Jets, 2 teams who are racing to the bottom. So a team that looked like it could have really gone sideways for a while, suddenly in a decent spot here to rip off a pretty good win streak.
One more example of how Gardner can take anyone home. Phillip, a non-believer. Everybody, that's my theory, is Gardner Minshew can take anybody home. It doesn't matter who. It could be a dang bison for all I care, and he can take that person home. The other thing I want to point out, Greg, is he said, for us conspiracy theorists out there talking about Jalen Ramsey, what I got to say is it's a little too quiet, Raph. A little too quiet. That's my Ninja Turtles joke for the day. Cody, jump in there.
Oh man, who doesn't love a good Ninja Turtle reference? But I do want to say, real quick, one of the, obviously the Panthers and the Jaguars were both an expansion team at the same year, came in at the same time. So I love our matchup. But both of our teams right now are going through this backup quarterback thing, like a lot of teams in the NFL are. So I'm going to backtrack and ask you, what was your initial mindset when the Jaguars went out and got Nick Foles, a Super Bowl MVP? And what are the chances that if Gardner continues to play well this year, that maybe this is Gardner's job as opposed to Nick Foles?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question in Jacksonville right now. I'll start with Nick Foles. I was a bit leery of the signing because of exactly what we've seen. Injury problems. The guy had started 9 regular season games over the past 3 years in Philadelphia. Obviously, he came in and, had some magical moments for the Eagles, led them to the Super Bowl title, was a Super Bowl MVP. But You know, he had a shot previously in Philadelphia and was injured. He had a shot with the Rams a couple of years later and was benched. He was considering giving up football. So there were a lot of red flags that this was somebody who was not going to be able to navigate through a full season. And the Jaguars, you know, they paid him as if he was a franchise quarterback, $22 million a year, $50 million guaranteed. I think it was a franchise record for most guaranteed money on a contract. They really rolled out the red carpet for him. And I do like him as a player. We saw it in week 1 that the play he was injured, it was an unbelievable touchdown pass to DJ Chark, just a pass that Blake Bortles never would have made here, a pass that Jacksonville fans hadn't really seen in years from the quarterback position. So you could understand why, you know, from ownership on down, they were really excited to get Nick Foles, and they thought, you know, with more consistent quarterback play, they could quickly turn the page on that 5-11 season last year. But now, you know, it really is anybody's guess. I still tend to think that Nick Foles' job will be there for him when he gets back, but the Jags have 5 games left before their bye week until Foles is eligible to return. I mean, what if you win 4 of those 5 games and you're sitting here and you're 6-3? How do you pull Gardner Minshew out of the starting job? You know, at that point, do you say, hey, Nick, we're going to give you the rest of the year off to really make sure you're healthy and compete for the job next year? Do you tell Gardner, hey, thanks for, you know, keeping us in the playoff hunt. We're going to go back to Nick here. I tend to think just because of the way that they've talked about Nick Foles all throughout training camp, the preseason, John DeFilippo had experience with him in Philadelphia. Shad Khan said it was his dream to get Nick Foles here. You know, Doug Marrone has been effusive in his praise. My gut says that they would still go back to Nick Foles, but that's a really, really tough decision to make. It's a good problem to have, but I was talking to a receiver in the locker room after the game and sort of posed that same question to him, and he just smirked and, you know, sort of had a big smile on his face and said, man, that's a problem we would love to have, but it would certainly be a problem because at some point you are either not rewarding the guy who kept you afloat when your starter was out, or you're turning your back on somebody who you signed to be your franchise quarterback, not only in 2019, but in 2020 and 21 and, you know, really beyond.
All right. So I kind of, this is the hard question I would want to ask the general manager or the coach at this point is why is it Nick Foles' job to have and take back? Right? Did he play any regular season games, meaningful snaps for the team? And is it just because you went and made him the plan? Right? But if you're winning, I don't think you have like a legacy or like some sort of connection to Nick Foles. He's never played really. He's never even played a game for the Jaguars, as far as I know. Why is it?
Snaps. He went out in the season opener against Kansas City in the first quarter on I believe it was their second drive.
So how do we truly know it is his job to lose? You know what I'm saying? Like in that sense is that we haven't even seen anything. I mean, and we all know how practices go. They already put the number one. It's not like they're really competing with each other. You know who your number one is, and if Minshew's doing it, I mean, I feel like Marrone, how can he resist the Minshew drip?
It's a political answer. It's a political question. I mean,
it's the money. It's the money. It just comes down to the money.
Who's more marketable?
I mean, he's got Nick Foles' cap number next year is over $22 million. I think even if they were to cut him, it's like $33 million in dead money. So he's going to be on this roster next year. In 2021, you can save I think it's like $14 or $15 million by cutting him. But certainly he's going to be paid as one of the top passers in this league. And can you have him sit on your bench? I just don't know. It's a brilliant question. And it's one that they're going to have to, really decide on. But at the same time, I mean, I think we've got to pump the brakes a little bit on the Gardner Minshew hype. I know everybody loves him, and he's, believe me, an unbelievable guy in the locker room just to talk to and that sort of thing. But this is not the Kansas City Chiefs offense. This is not the New Orleans Saints offense with Drew Brees. Minshew's thrown 7 touchdowns, only 1 pick, but I think they had 3 points at halftime in his first start, 14 in his second start, and 6 last week against Denver, and they made a nice rally. Certainly, he does have the flair for the dramatic. We've seen that a couple of times, but, I mean, this is not somebody who's throwing for, 350 yards a game. He's not even thrown for 225 yards in a game yet. So,
but what he's Nick Foles, though. In some ways, he's Nick Foles with swagger. Is that a guy who came in and made a lot of his opportunity? That's what Nick Foles has done in the past, and that's all he's done. You know, and
Nick Foles has a track record of coming in like week 16 and doing well in the playoffs. So maybe it's that sort of situation. Maybe Minshew just cruises until the last couple weeks of the season and we see a repeat of that. But, I mean, geez, if you're Nick Foles, what a punch in the gut. I mean, he's a good team. He's handled it well, but you finally get to be the franchise guy again. And within the first month of the season, fans are printing Minshew T-shirts. They're wearing the mustaches. They're cutting their jean shorts and the jorts and stuff. It's he's the most popular guy in town that we've had in quite a while. So, yeah, it's going to be – I mean, they're still more than a month away, but it's going to be a question that's asked a million times between now and then if Gardner Minshew continues to play well.
Greg, you're muted. He lost his sound. CK, go ahead and jump in there.
One of the things I would caution, I mean, I'm thinking the Jags should be very cautious with, and it happened against the Panthers, but Romo had a collarbone issue as well, right? And he came back as quickly as he possibly could, and first game back, facing the Carolina Panthers, Thomas Davis broke his collarbone again.
What is the timeline on Foles?
He's on IR, so he's eligible to come back week 11, which is at Indianapolis. And, maybe that's the solution. If you are the Jags and you are, 6-4, 7-3, or if you just feel like Minshew's playing too well to take out, maybe you go to Foles and say, look, we could rush you back, but we want to make sure you are absolutely healthy going into the offseason and going into next year, because this is a guy who's had a hairline fracture of his collarbone before, so this is somewhat of a recurring injury. This one was worse. In his words, worse than the one that he had when he was a young quarterback in this league. So this is by no means something that, is a one-time deal for him. So, maybe that's the out if the Jaguars need it, is you say, hey, Nick, we're gonna give you 6 to 8 months to really, truly recover as opposed to rushing back. Or, maybe he is back and he's on the roster and he's on the bench until, week 13, 14, 15. I don't know. I really don't have an answer, but it's one of the most interesting subplots of this team right now.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
All right, good deal. Hey, Phillip, what's up, man? This is Greg.
What's up?
What's up, man? I'm going to change lanes a little bit, and I'm going to talk about something that I know as far as all Panthers fans here are going to want to have a little comment on, and I want to go into this Leonard Fournette versus Christian McCaffrey debacle here. I know that coming out that year, I think we were 8th, y'all were 5th, and we were both looking at both these players. Before I get your initial thoughts, I just want to run over a few stats. That way they're out there. I'll be the stat daddy for a little while, and then we'll start talking about this debate back and forth. So Fournette has 25 games, and Christian McCaffrey has 36. So for me, Fournette's a little more injury prone. But to an argument that we had earlier about overusing Christian McCaffrey has 11 more games and almost 50 less carries than Fournette does through those carries. So that's just going back to a stat we had earlier. I think it's 473 attempts for Fournette's total career and 422 for McCaffrey for the entire career. Of those, Leonard Fournette has 1883 in yards, and Christian McCaffrey has 1944. Christian McCaffrey's averaging 4.6 yards, whereas Fournette's 4 yards. Rushing touchdowns, Fournette has 14 and McCaffrey has 13. And then
touchdowns, right? Okay.
Yeah, just rushing touchdowns. And then Leonard Fournette has 74 receptions for 601 yards, where Christian McCaffrey has 212 receptions for 1736 and 11 touchdowns.
Bars.
And Fournette has 2 touchdowns. So, like I said, I'm not talking trash by any means. I just want to put stats out there to give an idea.
And we have to put this in context. Greg, we have to put it in context for Phillip is that we have a draft show each year. It's been going on for the last 6 or 7 years. And we live watch the first round of the draft. We cover it, just as fans. We have fans calling in and stuff. And the debate that year was ultimately is that if you had your pick of the town, if you could pick either or, kind of like when the Panthers picked DJ Moore or Calvin Ridley, they picked the one they wanted. Would you go Fournette or would you go McCaffrey? And we were so split. But McCaffrey has been so sensational. And Greg, I think Greg's question is just where are your thoughts on Fournette at this point, and when you hear McCaffrey's numbers?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to look at Leonard Fournette's body of work and not be somewhat disappointed. He had a really nice rookie season in 2017 where he ran for 1,000 yards, and that was what the Jaguars really needed. I mean, into the 2017 draft, they had no offensive identity, they had no toughness, they had no physicality. It was a joke of a franchise for the previous decade, and they went out and tried to address it. They got Fournette in the first round. They drafted Cam Robinson out of Alabama in the second round at left tackle, and they wanted those guys to just bring in a level of toughness that hadn't been seen in Jacksonville in a while, and they did. They did that. I mean, Fournette rushed for 1,040 yards, 9 touchdowns. They go to the AFC title game, and, we're within, a Tom Brady comeback of the Super Bowl. And that's what the Jaguars envisioned, and Tom Coughlin, who is the front office chief here, I mean, that was always going to be his sort of guy. He was going to draft the powerful, punishing, win with tough-nosed defense and, sort of grinding opponents into the ground. So Fournette was always going to be Coughlin's choice over a guy like Christian McCaffrey for as many skills as he has and somebody who would fit great on this offense. But, yeah, last year was a total step back. Fournette played 8 games. He was out due to 7 of them because of a hamstring injury that bothered him throughout the year. He was deactivated for the final game because of all kinds of off-the-field incidents, issues, disagreements, to the point where he was suspended for a game for fighting in Buffalo. He got suspended for the Indianapolis game, which allowed the Jaguars to void his remaining guarantees on his rookie contract. And I was writing in January that it looked like Leonard Fournette's career in Jacksonville was over. The Jaguars went after his guarantees. He was abysmal last year. He was a malcontent in the locker room. There was really not much that could be said or written about Fournette that was positive, and I thought the Jaguars were going to wash their hands of him. Tom Coughlin released a scathing statement after the season finale where Fournette was inactive and just basically sat on the bench looking absent-minded the entire game. And I thought they were moving on. And instead, they overhauled their entire running backs room other than Fournette. They brought in a new running backs coach in Terry Robisky, a guy who's been around for a long time, was a running back at LSU from New Orleans. So clearly, while maybe not a babysitter per se, somebody who they thought could get through to him in a way that nobody else had been able to. And, so far this year, the returns have been pretty good. The first 3 games I think was just okay. The offensive line hasn't been particularly good at run blocking. They've struggled to open holes, and Fournette's missed a lot of holes when they've been there. And then obviously last week, the 225-yard game, that's exactly what the Jaguars want from him. It's ridiculous to say, you need 200 yards every game, but that's certainly the style of rushing, the powerful, making guys miss. I think he broke 5 tackles on Sunday after only having 3 broken tackles the previous 3 games. So he's back to kind of giving them more of what they want. But with him, the caveat's always, is he going to stay healthy? Is he going to stay locked in? Can you really trust him in a way that it doesn't seem like Christian McCaffrey really brings those existential questions into the Panthers locker room?
Has he settled down at all? Like as a person? You know what I mean? Because you kind of get like you saw him with the car thing. He was in the video. I mean, and those are, as a person who defends Cam at every turn, we need some context to know this. But it hasn't been good looks for him. Has he become more of a guy that's just ready to put his helmet down and get 200 yards a game?
Yeah, it does seem that way. I mean, early on in his career, if you look through his Instagram, there was, like you mentioned, there were pictures of cars and hundreds and maybe thousands of dollars stacked on tables, on planes, and all kinds of stuff that made you really, there's nothing wrong with it. If you've earned the money and you've earned the right to have those luxuries in your life, that's completely fine. I will never knock anybody for that, but you do get a little concerned. Is this guy, does he have the right people around him? Is he to the point where he's not going to have any money when he retires? Is he making the right decisions? And it does seem like it seems like he sort of has toned down on that. You don't see that as much on his social media. Just from a media perspective, last year there were a lot of times, he's always a Thursday guy. He spoke on Thursdays, but he didn't want to do it. You'd be waiting around for him. He'd try to cancel or give you as little as possible. This year he's been much more forthcoming. Been for a lack of a better term, a good soldier. Come through and been open, giving us a lot of access in a way that we haven't before. So it does seem like the light went on for him at some point during the offseason. But again, it's a year that it's still early. It's only 4 weeks into the season, and he hasn't really had any adversity. He's been healthy. The team's 2-2. And if he were to suffer a setback, if he has the hamstring injury, if things aren't going his way, does he revert back to the 2018 version of Leonard Fournette?
Right.
You would hope not, but it's too soon to say, I think. But for right now, all indications are that he's at least taken a step in the right direction.
So, hey, this is CK Phillip. I'm going to switch gears a minute, and we've kind of focused a lot on the offenses of both of these teams, but I think it's fair to say that this game is going to come down to the defense on both sides. We got Saxonville versus the Sack Street Boys, apparently is what our guys want to be called. And so just to focus on one side of that with Gardner Minshew, I guess technically both of these guys going up and having, I guess, their fourth start. Both of them have their fourth start coming up. And going up against two of the premier pass rushes in the NFL, how do you anticipate this is going to go based on how the offensive line performs and the way that Gardner Minshew handled the pressure last week against that pass rush when he escaped and got that game winner?
Yeah, so the offensive line certainly played as well as they had all year last week against Denver, but Minshew still was, I think he was sacked 5 times, hit 12 times. So you sort of saw Von Miller and Bradley Chubb go off in a way that they hadn't. It was unbelievable going into that game. The Broncos had 0 sacks as a team through their first 3 games, but the offensive line definitely was much better in the run game. Pass protection is still a problem. There's too many penalties. I think their rookie right tackle, Jawan Taylor, is the most penalized guy in the NFL. At least he was coming out of Sunday night. Somebody might have overtaken him last night, but I think he's got 6 penalties in 4 games. And your old guy, Andrew Norwell from Carolina, has been, a letdown to some degree, I think.
Really?
The Panthers, and, the returns haven't been great. He played
y'all
well
paid him so much. That's why y'all paid him so much. I mean, when you see a guy do something for one season, and he was good. I'm not saying that, but when you pay him the money for his best season, man, it is a risk to it.
Yeah, that's a classic case of the Jags thought they were one piece away. They lost in the AFC title game the year before because they couldn't run the ball in the fourth quarter. They thought, we'll bring in this road grader at left guard, which had been sort of a little bit of a revolving door for them, and that's going to be the missing piece. And it turns out that,
a guard doesn't win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was the complete opposite. So that's been a disappointment. But overall, it'll be interesting. The offensive line for Jacksonville, I think, to me, still has a lot of problems. But flipping to the other side of the ball, their defensive line is just absolutely so nasty. I mean, they've got so much talent. It's ridiculous. Yannick Ngakoue hasn't really even gotten going. He's been battling a hamstring, but I still think he's one of the league's better pass rushers. Josh Allen, their 7th overall pick, had 2 sacks and a forced fumble on Thursday night against Tennessee a couple of weeks ago, and he just looks like he's going to be an absolute monster. And Calais Campbell continues to, sort of defy Father Time. He's 33 years old, but he had a 3-sack game as well against Tennessee. They racked up 9 sacks in that game. They got after Joe Flacco a good bit. So that, to me, is where the Jags, week in and week out, seem to have an advantage, is their defensive front going up against the opposing offensive line. Their linebackers and secondary, in terms of the safeties, to me, are still questionable. They're still making mistakes. They've got a lot of young guys. Both their safeties are lacking in, a lot of experience. They've got a weak side linebacker, Quincy Williams, who's a rookie, but their front 4 and, front 3, front 5, depending on how many, they want to bring, it's just one of the best units in the league, and it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah. Well,
so Phillip, I wanted to jump in and ask you this. I've been doing this. I've been asking this of all of our guests. I'm Cody, by the way. I never introduced myself. I apologize.
That's all right.
Yeah, so, looking at this matchup, on paper, what are you hesitant about when facing the Carolina Panthers? Do you see anything that we do well and that we're doing well that kind of makes you hesitant going into this matchup? And do you think Jacksonville has a strength going into this matchup that they might be able to exploit against Carolina?
Yeah, so for me it starts, and this is probably no surprise, but it starts with Christian McCaffrey. We saw last week Jacksonville had a tough time containing Royce Freeman in the passing game. A couple of big first downs getting thrown to Freeman, which is not really what you think of. He's sort of more of a bruiser out of Oregon, where obviously McCaffrey, I mean, you guys know as well as anybody what he can do in the receiving game. I mean, he's already got, just a ridiculous workload early in this season. So that to me is he's
had 31 catches this season. He had 80 receptions his 80 rookie year, 107 last year. He's got 25 on 31 targets. Yeah, he's sensational. If you saw the film of him with the bobble ball, I mean, he does things that people challenge. I felt like that call last week, guys, when they challenged the call about Christian McCaffrey like sliding and catching that, was kind of like a referee calling a foul prematurely in the NBA just because they assumed it was going to be a foul. That's how sensational it is.
All the time, too.
Sorry, Phillip. Continue.
Oh, no, but yeah, that would be my concern if I were the Jaguars is, okay, if the Panthers can get Christian McCaffrey out in space, can their linebackers make enough plays on him? That to me is, you need a big game for Miles Jack. He's their most athletic linebacker. Quincy Williams, their rookie, runs really well. He's a little undersized, but he's a good tackler. Can the two of them do enough to keep McCaffrey from ripping off, one of those just absolutely game-changing plays? And then also tight ends for years have trouble the Jags. So do you get a big Greg Olsen game, or do one of the receivers, whether it's Moore, Samuel, one of those speed guys, do they get behind the safeties, which is what really just killed them in week 1 against Kansas City, was they didn't have anybody who could match up with Sammy Watkins. He was running right by their safeties. He was running by their corners. There were coverage busts. So to me, the speed would be a concern at, basically all those positions. And then McCaffrey in space it just feels like, if I were a fantasy owner this week, especially in a PPR league, I'd be feeling pretty good about Christian McCaffrey, because I think that's a great way to get him involved. And then for the Jags, it's a good question. I do think that they found something against the Broncos and being able to run the ball. And when they can do that, that opens the play action a little bit. And I really like what DJ Chark is doing for them. He's a second-year receiver. Would have had his 4th touchdown of the season last week, but Cam Robinson was called for an illegal hands to the face penalty. But he's really started to emerge, and he looks like, not only a number one, possibly in this offense, but a number one receiver in the NFL. I think that he's got that sort of potential. He's really starting to blossom. He's got, I believe, 6 catches of 20-plus yards. So he finally brings sort of a downfield element to this offense, and he's somebody who I think that they can get in the right matchups against most secondaries and rip off some big plays, which has been a problem, otherwise, and dating back to last season.
Yep. Well, sticking with the defense real quick, we were talking kind of in our little chat here about how similar these two teams are and what this game's going to kind of be like. It's going to be a very close game, I feel. It's going to be who gives up the big play or the most big plays, or maybe comes down to a turnover or whatever, because I'm looking at the defensive stats right here, and we're averaging 20 points a game. Y'all are averaging 21, which is damn near the same. Y'all average a little more yards per game, about 366, and we do about 287, so it's relatively close, though. We're a little better on the pass than y'all are. We average 4.4 a pass. Y'all are 7.6. And then y'all a little better on the run. Y'all average 4.1. We have 4.9. And then we have 5 takeaways. Y'all have 2. So you're looking at 2 very similar teams through 4 games. How close do you think with how close that defense is, do you think it's going to create a close matchup? And like I said, it's going to be basically a who gives up the big play type game? Or do you think that one team has a distinct advantage, even though the numbers are offense and defense almost the exact same?
No, I think it'll be a close game. Last week showed me something in Jacksonville. They went down 17-3 in Denver, and they came back and won that game. And that's a game that they've lost 9 times out of 10 in the last few years. And games like last year, it sort of reminded me early on of the Dallas game where they got blown out 40-7, or the Kansas City game where it was like 30-14. And it wasn't even close to that. The fact that they sort of overcame that on the road and came back and won the game-winning field goal, to me, says this team probably has a little bit more maturity than some of the other teams in recent years. But I just don't think there's enough, elite talent at every spot in Jacksonville to blow teams out, particularly on the road, unless, it's just if it's one of those games where the Panthers just can't block and Kyle Allen just doesn't have time to throw, and suddenly a guy who hasn't thrown an interception so far this year throws 2 or 3, then maybe the game gets out of hand. But to me, I think it's going to be fairly low scoring. I think 24-21. Either way, I could see it going. It'd be a big win for the Jaguars, but winning twice on the road back-to-back weeks in the NFL is a tough ask.
Yeah.
Sort of going into this 2-game stretch, you felt like if you got one of those, you'd probably be in good shape, and then you go home. So they got their one in Denver. Do they take their foot off the pedal a little bit? If you're a Jaguars fan, if you're a Jaguars front office member, you certainly hope not. But I think it's a coin flip game. I certainly wouldn't be betting money on either side of this, and I'd be shocked if this is a game that in the fourth quarter isn't very interesting.
Well, the line is 3.5 favorites to the Panthers, and that if you give the hometown 3-point discount, that is a pick 'em. My final question, I know there's one more question from the panel too after me, is are you, like myself, going to dress like Gardner Minshew for Halloween?
My wife is starting to come around on the mustache. She was never much a fan of it.
I'll never be able to do that. I have to paste mine on.
Yeah, I can grow the mustache. My problem is I'm only 27, but my beard is starting to go white for whatever reason. But the mustache is still thick, so I could grow the mustache pretty good. Get the bandana, maybe rock the jorts. I don't have quite the same quads he has, but
you got the chest there, because that's what I'm banking on. I'm banking on that. My outfit is gonna be that red suit my man came off the airplane with the broad lapels and the kind of like it looked like saran wrap shirt that was reflective.
Yeah, that was so funny because that became such a popular meme on Twitter, but that wasn't even from this season. That was from Washington State.
What? Yeah. No way. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Now if he plays one bad game, everybody's going to blame it on that.
Nah, exactly. Look, yeah. I'm an ECU grad. Let me tell you this, is I have a reason to root for Gardner. I have 2 degrees from ECU. I live in the town. He was here. I watched him play a little bit, not much, and then he left. All right, passing the mic, and let Phillip have a night off after us. A life after the C3 Panthers podcast.
Y'all got anything else? I just got one more quick thing.
I'll just jump into it. It's a very off the nose question. Phillip, what are the chances that they ever move Jacksonville to a different city like London or somewhere else? I always hear that as like the team that's floated out. If they were going to move a team to a different country, it would be the Jaguars. Do you have a feeling on what the chances of that actually happening would be, and do you personally have an opinion on it?
Man, you're trying to get someone to throw a bag of crap on my porch with that question because people always get so whenever that comes up.
He called the shit poo. He called the shit crap. That's what. Sorry.
But no, I don't think so. There's been so much smoke with the London thing. They've played there for I think it's going on 7 years now. Off the top of my head, it feels like it's been 100. But they have steadfastly said that London is something that helps their bottom line, that helps them stay sustainable in Jacksonville, which I think how you define sustainable could be open to interpretation. But to me, I just don't think logistically a team full-time in London makes sense. It feels like it's a ridiculous amount of travel. Where's your home base if you want to work out players, that sort of thing. So the owner here, Shad Khan, has done a nice job renovating the stadiums, the big scoreboards that they put in a few years ago. They're starting to hopefully soon break ground on sort of an entertainment district around the stadium that would really transform what they would hope would transform downtown Jacksonville. So it's definitely a franchise that has challenges. It's a stadium that probably needs to be upgraded fairly soon, particularly for the early season games. They're so ridiculously hot. It would be nice to see maybe a cover like Miami has where most of the seats are in the shade. So yeah, a lot of challenges ahead, but I don't think they'll be leaving anytime soon. Maybe one day, but to me, it's not a relocation that's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years.
To kind of add on to that, Pat McAfee said it's one of his favorite places to ever play because it's always a party up there, so or down there. But I think Tampa Bay would have a better chance of going to London than Jacksonville. But nonetheless, I did want to ask you, just your analysis. Obviously, you've been there with the players. Who do you anticipating coming down to earth more? I know both of these guys had a come to Jesus moment last week. with the performances that they had, pulled it out, and they both had game-winning, plays at the end that were highlight reels. Who comes down to earth more, Kyle Allen or Gardner Minshew?
It's hard to say Gardner Minshew just because I've seen him, and the guy just seems so unflappable. But
that's the name of his first porno.
Yeah,
that is the name of his first porno. Unflappable.
Right, exactly. But I mean, man, what a fun story! What a fun matchup of two young quarterbacks. I really don't know. I've not. I went back and watched some Kyle Allen film from the Texans game, and he makes some impressive throws. He makes some big plays when you need him. And going through the stats, I mean, they're very similar. They both take care of the ball. I don't think Gardner Minshew is going to fall off. I don't know that he's necessarily going to lead them to a 6 or 7 game winning streak, but I don't think that this is, suddenly the clock strikes midnight, he turns into a pumpkin. I think he is a guy who can legitimately lead the offense when he doesn't have to freelance, when he doesn't have to, sort of do crazy things, although we saw that against Denver as well. He's an effective passer. So I don't think Gardner Minshew is going to fall off. I don't know, really with the prognosis with Cam, how long Kyle Allen's really going to be in there. So I guess if I had to pick one, I would say Kyle Allen has a better shot of struggling. But that's just because I've seen more of Gardner Minshew, and I've, at this point, just come to accept that he must be the second coming of Jesus or something, because he can do absolutely no wrong.
The only true reality is it doesn't matter who wins the game. Gardner's going to take home Kyle Allen's girlfriend and his mom. Go ahead, Greg.
He doesn't take home my wife most days. So.
Yes, I know. I mean, don't go near. No one is safe. Go ahead, Greg. Last question, and then we're letting Phillip out of here.
Yeah, Phillip, I got
He's
one
been
more.
So gracious with his time.
Notoriously, LSU puts out good defensive backs and good wide receivers. I want to ask you about DJ Chark. Second year. I know last year he had 14 receptions for 174 yards and 0 touchdowns.
Terrible.
This year through 4 games, he already has 19 for 321 and 3 touchdowns. Is this guy the real deal? And I'm asking this because he's on all my fantasy teams. Is he the real deal, or is he just had a good first few games?
No, I think he's the real deal. And I was as skeptical as anybody about him. Even during the preseason training camp, I was talking to some of the coaching staff off the record, and I think even they didn't really know what to expect him. He's a guy who's got all the tools. He's got the 6'4" frame. He's got the blazing speed. But I remember when I was putting together my draft series ahead of that draft, Chark was one of the guys I wrote about. And even in college, he looked like somebody who just didn't trust his hands. He was catching with his body a lot. He was dropping a lot of passes. And we saw that last year to the point where it was like, man, did they draft a really good special teams gunner in the second round? What an absolute, eyesore that would be. But he's come back and looked like a totally different guy. He's a sharp route runner all of a sudden. We haven't seen, any problems with his hands. He's made a couple of just absolutely ridiculous touchdown catches. And
gorgeous catches,
yes. Would have had the 4th touchdown of the year last week had Cam Robinson not picked up one of his 3 first-half penalties on the play. So he's built a good rapport with Gardner Minshew. I think, probably doesn't hurt that they got a good amount of reps together during training camp in the preseason. He was one of the few starting receivers to play with Minshew in those preseason games. So I think that's helped build the early connection for them. So, I mean, I don't know that he's going to be a 1,200-yard guy at any point in his career, and I don't think that he's going to suddenly be, 12 or 14 touchdowns, what we saw here from Allen Robinson a couple years ago. But he does seem like somebody to me who is able to go for 60, 70, 80 yards in a score more weeks than not.
I agree. He looks really good. Some of those touchdown catches were absolutely amazing, and that's why I picked him up. After I think it was week 2, he had the 172-yard game or something like that. I saw a couple of those touchdown catches, and I picked him right up. He's got, if he continues to play like that, he's going to be a top 15 receiver in the NFL. Easy.
The worst part about
he's got all the tools.
The worst part about Gardner Minshew is that my D.D. Westbrook, Nick Foles chemistry didn't work out, because it turns out it is Gardner Minshew and Shark, correct? Shark, do you say? Like,
that's what happens when you trust somebody named D.D.
I'm not going to say it. My kids will sing it. Phillip Heilman, thank you so much for coming on to the C3 Panthers podcast. I'm a subscriber of The Athletic. I can't tell you how much I am impressed with the work that's done. That's exactly what I think the football fan needs at this point, is that we are very focused. There's so much noise out there that we really want people that are covering things 24/7 and the best writers out there. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm a subscriber. Tell our listeners who you write for and how they can just find it and also subscribe like I do.
Yeah, so it's just theathletic.com. It's a full pay site, so you've got to pay to read anything. But as you mentioned, all kinds of crazy good writers. I'm just trying to keep up with those guys. But for Jags, it's just the NFL drop down, and you can scroll down and click Jags. I think it's just a few spots above where you click to get your Panthers coverage as well. And then on Twitter, if anybody wants to follow me this week, I'm at Phillip_Heilman, Heilman. So between a lot of Jags news and Jags Panthers stuff.
Spell that again real quick.
Heilman. I was saying pronounce it. I was saying Heilman. Heilman. I got it. No, I'm going to put out a tweet. Thanks, man. Thank you so much for your time. It's very gracious of you. And we're going to be following your work, man.
Cool. I appreciate it, guys. Enjoyed it and looking forward to doing it again sometime.
All right, man. That's Phillip Heilman from The Athletic. Yeah. Go subscribe to The Athletic. I put out a tweet right now. You can actually subscribe to The Athletic through the tweet that I put out, and they will even give me an Amazon gift card. So if you are going to subscribe, do that. And also do what I also did, and that is because I work at a college, I use my EDU email, and I got the student discount. All right.
That's a job perk.
Yeah. You are listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. Guys, we've been talking about the Jaguars. I'm going to eject. I don't think Phillip can get out. I think he's stuck. It's all right.
We all sound like a bunch of supervillains just now, just so you know. When you mentioned that,
yeah, exactly.
Kind of like a bunch of supervillains who finally laid our plan out.
Yes, exactly. You can be a part of the show by calling into the Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. And actually, I think that's where we should go next, is go ahead and see where the Cat Calls takes us for the next part of the show.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey guys, this is front side of the best in the game, known as Complainer in Chief on WFNZ. But look, guys, I hear all this stuff on Twitter. I mean, this is way after the game. This is after the Saints won somehow against the Dallas Cowboys. But it is what it is. But anyways,
Cowboys ain't good.
People on Twitter talking about Kyle Allen with 3 fumbles and all this. Like, realistically, 1 fumble was his fault. The other 2, the offensive line should have blocked when he was going through his progressions, and he was in the process of throwing the ball when the ball was knocked out on the last 2 fumbles. So people need to pump the brakes a little bit on that. We played a.
I love how "pump the brakes" is such a big
that's not going
phrase.
To happen every Sunday that he starts. And now I don't think there's a
pump the brakes
controversy, but if you keep winning with him, there will be. Okay, like who thinks right now that we would have won that game with Cam Newton? Because I don't right now, because Cam Newton's on himself. He's playing at 235 pounds, man. He would have got murdered, okay, in that game. Period. He just would have. All right, so Allen right now is way more accurate than Cam. So the fact of the matter is, people need to pump the brakes a little bit. All right, this is Alex.
Pump the brakes. Drink.
3rd game. Okay, he's going to get better. All right, and we just need to keep going with the flow. People need to stop getting on Allen's butt so much, man. Stop getting on him so much about fumbling 3 times. Last week we thought there was quarterback controversy. Whoever thought that is stupid. That was his 2nd game in the NFL. There shouldn't be a quarterback controversy. But if we keep winning with Allen, there will be. That's the bottom line. Let's see what he does against the Jaguars at home, at our house, okay? Because they haven't even played at home yet. Let's just see what happens. All right, that's all I'm saying. All right, guys, keep pounding. Take it easy. Let's go.
Let me get it.
Go ahead.
Jump.
So check it out. I agree with you. We don't need to jump on Allen, 100%. But let me tell you something. Had we lost this game and Allen fumbled those 3 balls, you would be saying the exact opposite thing. I'm sorry, everybody would. You know why? Because Cam Newton threw 1 interception the first game, and everybody blamed him for how inaccurate he was, and how terrible he was. But he threw for more yards than Kyle Allen did in this game against a better defense. Winning changes everything, okay? The fact that he fumbled 3 times, yeah, maybe only 1 was his fault, but I promise you, had we lost that game, your narrative would be different. We would say that this is Kyle Allen's fault. He's terrible. Because he realistically didn't have that great of a game. Like
I am so on the other side
for a touchdown. Like
I'm
it's
the
all
guy
about him in
that's.
the game.
I said that Kyle Allen was trash. That's what I said. People came after me. I don't think you're right though, Greg.
No.
I must say this is that because yes, he did lose these 3. Yes, he's supposed to fumble it when he gets smashed like that. That's exactly what he does. But at least he won somehow he did enough to where we won the game. Somehow those turnovers didn't manifest. I think I agree, is that if we're talking about was his performance indicative that he is a sustainable option that you could plan around in the future, I'm saying no. I mean, nobody's going to plan around Matt Moore, right? But at the same time is that I am really excited that we have 2 wins and we had a backup quarterback.
So here's a random stat that really isn't on anyone's side. Kyle Allen has been sacked 5 times, and all 5 times he's fumbled the football. So that's not.
All right, you're right. Well, that's the great part about Cam is he can get blasted to the. See, here's the thing that people have forgotten: because Cam has had the shoulder injury, and because now he has the foot, they think that he has been injury prone. And while he has had injuries his entire time, my man kept getting up. That's the thing is that he would have taken that, and yeah, he would have fumbled 1 of 5 of those. That would have been the difference. Cam would have got blasted the same, and it would have been 1 of 5. Somehow he would have held on it the other way. But, all right, continue, Cody, because I do have a lot to say about this.
Yeah, no, I just want to say real fast. I kind of made my opinions known about him already. You're watching someone in his first year starting in the NFL, and you have to have reasonable expectations for what Kyle Allen's supposed to do. He missed a wide open read to Greg Olsen across the middle of the field, and Greg was pissed off about it, and rightfully so. Greg was supposed to be the primary read on that play, and he had enough time in the pocket to throw the football. But like I'm saying, and we still need to talk about the Cam Newton video, Kyle Allen doesn't have to be spectacular. He doesn't have to be some kind of superhero. All he has to do is move the ball down the field, do just enough to win us football games, rely on McCaffrey, rely on Greg Olsen, let your receivers make plays, yards after the catch, and we're good to go, man. We don't need Kyle Allen to be some starter, dream, wonder, undrafted player. We don't need him to be that.
I have something very strong to say about this, and that it's almost like a generational comparison. So it's almost like comparing the 1990s to the 1950s. It's not really fair comparison to just say which one, this player out of this player. And what I'm trying to get to, I know this sounds strange, but I'm going to bring it all together here, is that if you put Kyle Allen on a team that Cam Newton inherited in 2011 that then grew into a Super Bowl team, it would have been untenable, right? Is that Cam Newton was this, like, what you needed. He was this special thing, what you needed to rejuvenate a franchise and to carry it for 9 years, to not put any talent around him, to not put any protection around him. And over the last 2 or 3 years, we realized that time was ending. So we started to put talent around him. We started to put protection around him. And now Kyle Allen is inheriting a team that Cam Newton created. So it's not fair to compare either or. It's not an either or thing. Is Kyle Allen could never do what we needed Cam Newton to do. But now that there are so many offensive weapons on this team, especially Christian McCaffrey, and then you have all those other names that you listed out in their performances, is that now this team, like now you could have a game manager and the team be good or be okay, better than average. You know, you could, if this would have been a few years ago, it's been impossible. There just wasn't the weapons there, even if you had the top defense in the league. But that's my position on it. That's my position. All right, let's keep going through with the calls. Oh, nope, that's the video. Oh, no. I just closed. I got nervous. I got so nervous, and I just hit the X button.
What happened?
I closed everything, and I was playing because I played that Falcons video.
Look what you did, Tony Dunn.
I know. Hold on. I think I saved the playlist. Hopefully, I saved the playlist.
No, but I mean, we can kind of stall for time a little bit anyway.
Yes, like, stall. Help me out, bro.
You know, yeah, but so listen, like, and me and Brother Herbert are talking in the chat room. He's saying, if he's been sacked 5 times and fumbled all 5 times. I mean, listen, that's not a good stat. No one's.
It's not. No. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. No one's saying that that's a good thing. That's not a good thing. He needs to have 2 hands on the ball, and he needs better pocket awareness. He needs to know when to step up into his throws and move away from the pressure coming around the edges. With that said, it's his 3rd start in the NFL. I mean, you will never see another Patrick Mahomes year in their first starting season ever again, And I feel like that kind of messed up people's expectations. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying he's perfect. He's made some boneheaded mistakes. But how about this? Homeboy has not thrown an interception yet.
Hadn't lost a game yet.
Yeah, hasn't thrown an interception.
Well, he did have 3 fumbles. It's the same. There's no different.
If you're going to bash him for fumbles, then also give him credit for what he does well.
And 70% completion rate. 70% completion rate in the last game. All right, I got the calls back up. Let's keep going.
All right.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Cody. This is Zach from Monroe, North Carolina.
What's up, Zach?
I just want to say I really liked the game. Kyle played decent, and he needs to hold on to that ball. But I want to keep it simple since it's my first call ever.
Thanks for calling the show.
Paradis on Sunday, and I thought he played really well. He had one crazy play. It was one of those sack fumbles, though. He had to go out and pass block J.J. Watt on out wide. So this man snapped the ball and did a awesome, amazing athletic play to get to J.J. Watt to help slow him down. He had a little bit of running back help. But still, he was able to manage to get that forced fumble. But I just want to know what you guys think about how Matt Paradis has played in the season and going forward. How is he our foundational center? And so hey, thanks guys. I love the podcast, and I hope y'all have a great day. Appreciate it. Bye.
Fantastic call. Thank you for the call, Cody. Take that because I do have opinions on Paradis.
Well, I'm actually interested to hear your opinion because I've actually seen opinions go either way. Some people are kind of disappointed in him and feel like for the best center available in free agency, he hasn't quite been that yet. And then so my personal opinion is I haven't noticed him. And I think
that's a good thing. In some ways, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Right. The mantra with the offensive line is that if I don't notice you, that means you're not getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, it's like a free safety.
I noticed Ryan Khalil last year. Right. I noticed him when I didn't want to be noticing him. So, I'm not. I haven't looked at Matt Paradis at his film enough to say definitively if he's been good or bad. But I don't think he's been a liability in any term of phrase.
I think my opinion is right. And that's what I'm going to go ahead and put forward. I'm strong in this. And that is that the play that the caller was talking about, and thank you for your call and your support of the show, Paradis comes out like he pulls, right? It's like a counter almost play where he's got to pull where the guard pulls, but he's a center pulling. And then the commentator goes, and look at that guard pulling. And he's not going to – and he said, good luck putting a guard up against J.J. Watt. Like a guard had no chance. I was like, hey – you know what's worse? Putting up a center against J.J. Watt. So he was making an athletic play, like the caller said, is that he just happened I mean, he was out there doing his best. It was a complicated call, and putting J.J. Watt on him was probably not what they were hoping would happen. That for Paradis, I think my position is right on this, is that at first I expected so much because of that number one free agent tag. He, to me, was the prize fish, the one that you mount on the wall, the first one that we've ever had in free agency in forever. I think almost since going back to like Ken Lucas was a name like that, and he sucked.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Is that really, what was the last free agency pickup that you were really excited about? Yeah, he had trade. Yeah.
Was it trade? Okay. That is free agent. Okay.
But still, is that type of move, is that Paradis I felt like just made sense, just top to bottom, and I think I made him be better than he needed to be in my head in that first game. And what I'm excited about is that he's gotten better each game. He is not, maybe I thought about him in week 1, but guess what? I didn't think about him other than that one play. So I think Paradis is getting stronger, and I do think he's the right piece here. Give him a full season, and by the end of the season, I think you're going to see that he is a stalwart of that offensive lineman. I'm passing the mic.
I would like to say something before Cody hops in, if that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say he is our MVP, most valuable pickup.
Oh snap!
Yeah, there you go. Clever.
Gerald McCoy was a good one. Don't get me wrong, but like you want to hear Gerald McCoy's name, right? That's the thing. Like we talked about, like Cody mentioned, you don't want to hear your center's name,
right?
It's not. And we haven't. They haven't said, pretty much anything about him. And as Tony alluded to, he's just gotten better. And I think his communication and his understanding of what this offense needs from him with a back like Christian McCaffrey, he's never had to defend a back like that. He's never had to defend a quarterback like Cam Newton. So I think all of these things are starting to kind of culminate to where he understands a little bit more about that. And so you're seeing that strength pick up a little bit. The one thing that the one time I'll question this is I was watching the Ron Rivera talking about the offensive line. He was saying how great he was happy with Matt Paradis' performance. He said Darrell Williams did a great job. At that point in time, I lost faith in Matt Paradis.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like you got put in the ugly crew right away. Yeah. Is that you got... Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't know if I could ever think about them the same either. You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. 53 people watching right now. It's shame time. I'm going to shame y'all, though 29 people have smashed the thumbs up button. And here, to be honest, that's how I got the Athletic interview, is I sent him a tweet yesterday. And then I sent him another tweet that said, hey, we're the number one. And I do claim the number one Panther podcast just based on my own Google searches. So it's not official. It is not an official thing. But I said, hey, we're the number one Panthers podcast. And it's still open. If you don't want to respond, that's all right. Or I said something like that is if you want to ghost me. And then he responded right away. So guilt and shame works. Look, it already helped.
Can we talk about Joe Pearson? Did he never get back with you?
No, we're going to go. Don't worry. I got more guilt than shaming to do. He's got back with me, kind of. I sent him a Rocky gif of Rocky chasing the chicken. Saying,
Remember, guys. Hey, Tony's Catholic. There's a lot more guilt to come.
Yes. True that. All right. Go ahead. Smash that thumbs up button. Be a part of the show by calling into the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. Here's the next call.
What's up, fellas? It's Kyle from VA. Just to go back to my last call, I work at a jail. I was not in jail. So, just to make that clear.
That's the best.
I didn't get to listen to the
Be safe, brother.
Episode as it was happening. But when I did listen to it, I just heard everybody complaining about Kyle Allen, 3 fumbles, and I get it. You can't do that. But at the same time, man, y'all not seeing this for what it is. He's a backup. Now it's his 3rd NFL game. I mean, the kid is out there performing. Can we just be happy for him and happy for the team? I mean, when I saw that play against Arizona where he threw it pretty much at the DB's numbers, the back of his numbers, and DJ cut perfectly timed right there, caught it pretty much on the DB's ass, took for a touchdown. I mean, that's talent. That's confidence in your team that your guy is going to be there to make that play. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, the kid's got a strong arm. I mean, you're always going to have people that are always going to complain about something. But can we
He's right.
be happy for the kid? Can we be happy for
or
the
be
kid?
or happy
0-2.
that we're Panther fans and we just
shot.
won 2 damn games?
And now we're 2-2. We got a clean slate. We're right there in the run for the division. Let's just be happy that we're winning, man. And for this defense, like I said, like I told y'all in the offseason, man, once this defense gets rolling, thought we had the potential to be a historically good defense, and we on pace to be that. Christian McCaffrey, Cody, I'm fully with you. We got to cut his touches down. Like, if we're winning, you got to put Jordan Scarlett in. If it's a close game,
I like the situational Scarlett.
But if we're winning, there's no reason Jordan Scarlett shouldn't be out there getting reps.
If we're winning by multiple possessions,
yeah, definitely.
It's the only way he's going to get better. I mean, you got to put him in. We drafted him for a reason. McCaffrey's, right now, to me, MVP. I don't even think there's a close second. I'm a little biased, obviously, but you look at the stats, man, the kid is a workhorse. He's a legend. Anyways, guys, can't wait to hear the episode. Keep pounding.
I want to ask a edgy, tough question, and I'm changing my name from Tony Dunn to Donnie Tun, so I can my that is my alias right now.
Oh, that's terrible. What's the question?
Doppelganger.
All right, here it goes. The question is this: is that can we continue to talk about quarterbacks, and we saw Cam Newton come around, right, and that the people, the narrative that he can't be, and we all knew it was just seethed and steeped because he was a black quarterback, right? You know, you hear like we knew that there's an element of that. Here's the radical question to it. I actually was watching on YouTube today the first episode. I'm behind. No one else watches it, I'm sure. Cobra Kai. And it's about so I just watched the first episode today, and it was from
that?
What's that? No, so here is that the blonde hair guy that gets kicked in the face, Danny. No, I don't know, whatever his name was. You know, it's from his perspective. My question is this: is that can we draw the same stereotypes about the boyish, blondish, OC looking-ish Kyle Allen, and that we think he can't be simply because he looks like he's from a well-to-do family? The opposite. To-doism. It's not racism, it's to-doism.
He looks like an average white kid.
Yeah, so he cannot be. Yeah, that's my thing, is he looks like his parents have a tennis club membership. He looks like Jimmy Clausen, but not like he had been hit by a train in his head. Jimmy Clausen
he has the body of someone that has an office job.
Yes, yes. Is it to-doism?
I would say Christian McCaffrey is breaking that stereotype.
All right.
Yeah, but Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, but he looks great. Yeah, he looks fantastic.
It's not this year, but he wasn't a little mini Hulk before this year. You know, like
he's always been at least shredded.
Yeah.
Put it this way, I've never had McCaffrey's body. I don't know if any of us.
Like you can walk past Kyle Allen at the grocery store and offer to help him with his bags, not because he was a star, but because he needed help with his bags.
Yeah. How about this? I bet one of the three of you could probably beat him in an arm wrestling fight.
Shut up! No, that is a lie. That's a lie. All right, next call. Here we go.
Can I talk about one thing before we go on?
Yes.
I agree with the aspect of Kyle Allen and everybody kind of jumping off of that train. I think it made us realize we want Cam Newton back more than we realized after his game in Arizona. Yeah. But I don't care how those 3 fumbles went. The fact that he made that play against J.J. Watt at the end erased everything.
Yeah,
erased everything.
He didn't take himself out of the game. I agree with you. Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
How can you be upset? And that is I'm a super Cam Newton fan. Every one of us here is. Right? I dress like him. I'm going to dress like him when we go to the games, CK. Don't you worry. But the thing is this, why, like the caller said, is that why can't we be no one thought that if Cam Newton was out there, we would be better at this point.
No.
Right? We won 2 games in a row. This kid, what he has done is far beyond what anybody expected him to do. You know what I'm saying? Is that if you just hired, if somebody was sick and you had to hire a temp and you just expected typical temp work, he exceeded typical temp work. Yeah. You know? I mean, and like, God bless the kid, and he looks like a child out there doing it. I'm scared that Gardner Minshew is going to make him quake in his boots, personally.
No.
He's going to see that stash, and he's going to feel insecure.
He is going to hit a brick wall. I mean, forgive me, you know, I cannot sit there and look at his performance over the past 3 games and say that he is going to come in against the number 1 rated pass defense in the NFL and actually do anything beyond what he's able to do. And they're going to say, well, you know, if they can get the run game opened up, the only thing that they have against this defense is going to be Leonard Fournette. And you don't think they're going to have Shaq Thompson and Luke Kuechly on him? I mean, come on now. This is going to be a come to Jesus moment for Gardner Minshew. And
would you rather have Kyle Allen or Gardner Minshew as your quarterback?
I think they're the same guy.
I think
no way. Have you looked at them?
Tony is so taken by the mustache that he has blinders on, dude. Tony has a crush on Gardner Minshew, and he's just not telling us about it.
You're right. You're so right. You're so right. I'm sorry. It was funny. You know it's funny. All right, we got to move on. Next call.
Panthers Podcast. How y'all doing?
What's up, G?
Hey, man, before I go on talking about the Carolina Panthers, Cody, that game, Clemson, and my damn Tar Heels, man. What a damn game.
Yeah, man.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Don't worry. Like I said on Twitter.
Oh, shit. Sorry. That was me. Wrong keyboard.
What's up, fellas?
Wrong.
Let's just hear him again.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Cody.
No, I deleted it.
Look,
how do you do that?
You did.
Hold on. All right, God.
Right, you deleted it?
Sorry, I was trying to push I have 2 keyboards. And I always interchange them by accident. Oh my gosh.
Dang, man.
Tony needs to be taken off the paddles. I'm telling you.
You're right.
Nice up, Tony.
Gosh. All right, well, talk here. Have we heard this call yet?
What's up, fellas?
You had one job.
I know.
Oh, that's him.
Go back to my last call.
No.
Nice. Work at a jail.
No, we heard that already.
No, we heard that one.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Cody. This is
we
Zach.
heard this one, right?
Heard that one.
Oh, God. Ugh.
But anyway, man, let me talk about. Do you have it?
Yeah, I will once you talk for a second.
All right. So, yeah, listen, I'm not worried about my Tigers. My Tigers always start slow, and that's not me making an excuse for them. The Tar Heels played their ass off. I mean, listen, I take no credit away from the Tar Heels. I think the Tar Heels are going to get better. I think Matt Brown is kind of just what the doctor ordered for the Tar Heels. And, yeah, man, if you're a UNC fan, kudos. I mean, if it wasn't for – I mean, if they made a better call at the end, then maybe they would have won that game. But I'm not worried about my Tigers. We're going back to the playoffs. We're going to win another championship. I don't care what none of y'all say.
Here is the call. Take the paddles, as CK says.
Panthers Podcast. How y'all doing? This is G. Cavassier. Hey, man, before I go on talking about the Carolina Panthers, Cody, that game, Clemson, and my damn Tar Heels, man. What a damn game, man.
Y'all got
Yes,
lucky.
sir.
Kick the extra point, like I said on Twitter, man. There's no way in hell I would try to go for a 2-point conversion against the reigning defending champions.
It was a great call.
Not that defense Clemson has, but hey, good win, man. Good win. Now, to the Panthers, I know y'all probably didn't seen it. Kawan Short is on IR, man. Oh, KK is on IR. Oh, I was like, damn it, man. There's always an injury bug that comes. It was like that when we had Dan Morgan, you know, constantly IR. If it wasn't him, it was Chris Jenkins, you know what I'm saying? But, hey, Vernon Butler and my dog, Kyle Love. Man crush, I told you, Kyle Love is my dog, man. I think they can make things work, man. So hopefully we can beat these Jacksonville Jaguars, which I really think we can do. Because the new name of the defensive line is the Sack Street Boys. I heard that on Panthers.com.
I like that.
Sack Street Boys. It's a good group. It's a good name. You know what I'm saying? But hey, always remember, y'all, keep pounding.
Keep pounding, yes sir.
Keep pounding. So I kind of alluded to this earlier, Greg and CK. Our defense has put up 14 sacks in the last 2 games without K1 Short.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Like, of course, I wish KK was there. That was such a big part of our defensive line for so many years. But listen, and this is going to sound laughable, but this is where a guy like Vernon Butler decides to shut us up and
prove
to us that he's not a bust. I mean, listen, you make the most of your opportunities, and that's what you have to do. Kyle Love is every bit the veteran at this point as any other defensive tackle on the football team. So I'm not too worried about K1 Short going to IR, but I don't know. It's time for other people to step up and play their role.
You know who they signed off the practice squad, right?
Yeah, Brian Cox Jr., right?
Nice.
Yeah, I think we need to get him back into the swing of things. He did a pretty stand-up job for us when he came in last year. So I'm just I'm not as concerned based on the fact of our performance, over the past 2 weeks without KK. So
I'm disappointed. I mean, I'm saddened. I'm not excited by it. But now it's time for Joe McCoy to earn that money.
Well,
he better start eating right now.
I'm impressed with the performance over the last 2 weeks. But, I mean, if you don't come away with 6 sacks at least in the last 2 weeks, you have problems in your offensive line. These are the worst 2 teams in the NFL as far as offensive line goes. Like, you should come away with that. So, I want to see them against a formidable offensive line.
Fantastic point. That's a fantastic point. I heard.
So, who is the next formidable offensive line on our roster? None of us believe that it's Jacksonville, do we?
I don't think it's Jacksonville, but do we play Indianapolis? They have a pretty good one.
So our next,
we didn't get a lot of. Did we get a lot of? We didn't get any sacks against Tampa, did we?
Our next 4
no sacks in the first 2 games.
Jacksonville, then Tampa, then a bye, then San Fran, then Tennessee, and I would say the best offensive line there, probably San Francisco. They're undefeated.
There's no good ones.
So we have no reason to not.
We better keep eating.
You're right.
Yeah.
Can I I'll still raise a concern. I'm still happy with this pass rush, but the concern that I still have is the majority of our sacks are coverage sacks. It's not our pass rush is not necessarily getting there. It's that the quarterbacks are holding onto the balls way longer than they should, and so it's once we get to a position where we're playing a quarterback who realizes getting the ball out against this pass rush is the way to handle it. If our secondary can't stand up, our pass rush is gone. So
the only reason I disagree with that, CK, is that when I look at them, I understand what you're saying is these sacks are not like coming and you're just getting directly to them, right? Mm-hmm. And that is somewhat seems like it should be a coverage sack. But what I do feel like is that the pocket seems to break down pretty quickly. They might not get to them, but the pocket is closing quickly. And then on top of that, it almost seems like it's a combination of both. I don't feel like the quarterbacks are just sitting back there and dancing and looking at, like, going through their reads and they can't find anything. I feel like they look up at their first read and then they're already getting nervous. And then, so it's like, it's not – I don't think it's just a true coverage sack. So I do think we're a little bit – it's kind of in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
I think it is in the middle. You bring in but the problem is you went against 2 quarterbacks, one who's been running for his life since he came into the league in Deshaun Watson, and another one that's just inexperienced in Kyler Murray. You're going to have them running around and being nervous and not knowing what to do next. You bring in a Drew Brees. You bring in, see what Jameis Winston did. I'm not saying that game was a tremendous game for him, but he didn't make the stupidest decisions that we've seen him be able to make. And, our pass rush wasn't getting home on against that offensive line. So I think that, yes, if we can play somebody and get them flustered, the problem is when you play a veteran QB, getting them flustered is hard.
Yeah.
Let's move on and let's talk about this. It's something that I wanted to actually open the show with that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and that is the NFC South. You know, it started out as a laughing stock of the NFL, and it might not be much better, to be honest. Is that the Saints keeping their lead? What are they, 3-1 at this point?
3-1.
Yeah, and Tampa is starting to surge. They beat us. They go and make a game that's going to catch a lot of headlines, putting them up over 50 or 50-something
55 points, yeah.
55 points against the LA Rams. And this is so Tampa, right? I feel like this is the only team I understand in the NFL is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As I said on the radio right before they played the Giants that it's a home game for Tampa. The Giants, they should win it, and they'll probably lose it. Just like on the road versus the Rams where they should get trounced. They will do something like this. So Tampa's surging at 2-2. New Orleans is relentless. They will not give up even if Drew Brees is gone. It don't matter what. Somehow they win. And the Atlanta Falcons, brother, are of a debacle. So where are you guys at when it comes to the NFC South? And let me see. Is this actually here? This is where I'm at.
What you do? Hey, tighten up! Oh, you tighten up! Hey!
You should explain the video a little bit.
Okay, all right. So here, this is what we're about to do is play the audio from a video. Actually, you explain. I don't even know. This is my first time watching it.
As the Falcons lost, and they're going into the tunnel, back into the locker room, and there's a fan outside as the Falcons are going by, and this dude is lighting the Falcons.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I'm even calling them by names as they walk by him. So that's what's happening as you're listening to this.
All right, here he goes.
Tighten up! Oh, you tighten up! Hey, Harris! Matt! Hey, man, all y'all tighten up! What y'all doing out there? Sean, we might need you. Matt playing like some doo-doo. Hey, y'all tighten up, man! Straight up! It's the fourth game. Sanu, hey, Mr. Consistent, I see you, big dog. Hey, Sanu to be real. Hey, Matt, tighten up, homie. Hey, I need y'all to get in the game. Get your ass in the game. Dude, don't be looking back
Wait
at
till
me.
we get to the cheerleaders.
I'll come back there. Hey, I'll tackle you. I'll show you how to tackle. Tighten up. Let's go,
I'll show you how to
Grady.
tackle.
Grady, we need you out there, big dog. Hey, Grady, bit a dog.
I like Julio.
Julio! Hey, you a dog, Julio!
I love you. I suck your dick, Julio. That's what he was about to say.
Hey, Tack!
Hey, cheerleaders.
Get back there, Tack! Get back there, Tack! Damn! What the hell y'all doing? What the hell? Hey!
Cheerleaders are laughing at him.
Cheer on! Hey, straight up!
Cheer on.
I appreciate y'all been doing. Y'all been shaking the hell out of them pom-poms.
All right. So here, simple explanation about this is there's been another thing that came out with the Atlanta Falcons this past week with that shirt their defense had. And it was like stick together, stand together, and it was these three arms in a triangle holding each other, and it looked like someone's kid that couldn't draw drew it, and they printed on it. It was a terrible drawing. It was everything. Like, they don't even got good t-shirts. Their fans dog them harder than we do. That guy could be on our show when we're trying to talk shit about his team and do a better job about it than we could.
We need to find that. We need to find that dude and have him on and just let him roast the Falcons for us. Yeah, what's up, Greg?
No, I was going to say, Cody, you got this, man. You found the video. You good to go. Hey, real quick, though. You know what sucks is as this all goes on, everybody still talks about Matt Ryan as an elite quarterback in the NFL. He has Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, and he's thrown like 10 or 11 picks already in 4 games this year, and he's still an elite quarterback. but Cam Newton is not. Like it blows my mind the bias in this.
Can y'all smarter people than me who are more internet savvy than I? Is that Matt Ryan cross-dressing picture? Is it like somebody just photoshopped him on that shit? Like what? I just don't.
Photoshop.
Okay.
I've been told it's a Photoshop,
but we believe it's real.
In my heart, that's a real fucking picture, boy.
Looks pretty real to me.
That's a real ass picture. I don't care what you tell me. Matt Ryan wears bras underneath his fucking chest pad.
At least you know what you and. But go ahead.
You know it's not Photoshop. It's 28-3 scoreboard with 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
Definitely not Photoshop.
All right. So what is the NFC South? Can we understand it yet?
It's wide open, man.
Definitely wide open. I'll go last on this one. I want to hear everyone else's opinion.
CK, start us off.
You know, as much as I hate to say it, I think that Tampa Bay could be a scary contender if they get rolling. Their defense has played very well and very consistent. If they can establish a consistent run game, which they've started to do a little bit, then I think it's all bets off the table. I almost would say they're going to be the team to beat, depending upon if the Saints can, digress or go backwards a little bit. I still think it's Saints all day, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are starting to kind of wear on me, and I hate to say that because it's almost embarrassing to feel like the Tampa Bay Bucs are about to be the winners of the division. But man, I could see a situation where they run the table.
Oh, run the table! I was gonna go last. I might have to jump in on that.
Where'd he go? Is that it? Well, was that the last word? Run the table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
dang.
Look,
he dropped the mic. He said, "Run the table," and dropped the mic. And I thought he disappeared.
Look, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to run the table. I think Tampa Bay is going to end up at 9-7.
Are they going to beat us? Are they going to beat us, CK?
They did already. I mean, we'll see, man.
They shouldn't have. They beat us for the bad play calling.
I agree, but you got to also keep in. Well, I wouldn't say bad play calling. There were a lot of open receivers we just weren't able to hit.
Yeah. Cam Newton was awful.
Until we see you got to remember we lost to the Rams with a hobbled Cam Newton. Don't get me wrong. They decimated the Rams, and don't get that number that 40 to 55 twisted. That was a much bigger loss. There just happened to be a Peters pickoff that happened to go to the house. Had that not happened, that would have been a much different story.
Oh, yeah.
They dominated that game. They dominated from beginning to finish.
Now everybody's going to point to the Giants, and I was like, oh yes, the Tampa Bay's back, But the truth of the matter is they have Arians back there. Arians is a proven coach. He has had a lot of success in the NFL. He knows how to get quarterbacks. He knows how to coach quarterbacks, and Jameis has always had the tools. He's just never had the supporting cast as far as coaching to help him make the right choices. And I think now you have Arians back there. There's almost a scary feeling that if Jameis can put it together, there's a question mark about what we're dealing with the NFC South from them.
No.
Well, I just want to say real quick, I'm the in between role tonight. I'm more worried about Tampa than I have been in some years. For that reason that you just said, Bruce Arians is a quarterback coach.
And Bowles.
He's easily, those two are easily the best offensive and defensive coaches that Tampa Bay's had in a while. But that said, I want to see it before I believe it. Right now, I still think this division either belongs to Carolina or New Orleans. I'm not going to go on a limb and say that Tampa Bay is going to sustain that momentum. I haven't seen that yet, but they're a potent football team right now. They're able to push the ball down the field.
Yeah, I just want to say I think that the Bucs are capable of winning 10 games this year. Very possibly 10 games. Winston's not a terrible quarterback. He's got a great group of receivers to throw to. He's got a lot of stuff going on. But I really do feel like in this division, the first one to win 11 games is going to win the division. this year. It's just because I don't think there's very many strong teams. Atlanta's kind of dropped off. They may go on like a 6 or 7 game win streak, and we'll see what happens. But Matt Ryan is showing he is what he is. He's going to throw for 300 yards a game and 3 touchdowns, but he's also going to have a fumble and 2 picks in a game.
In the red zone.
I think that it irritates me hearing about people talk about New Orleans, and I think they only talk about New Orleans because of Drew Brees. Because if you remember, before they got
They
Michael
can't
Thomas
lose
and
right
Alvin
now,
Kamara,
though. They won't lose.
They went 7-9 3 years in a row, and nobody talks about that. Like they're not a great team, and they're in line to go about 7-9 this year.
They won't. They don't lose, man. They don't lose.
No?
They've lost 1 game and they lost their starting quarterback.
My brother is a diehard Saints fan. He's born and raised in Louisiana. So, him and I talk about this, and one of the things that I tell him is, man, it's hard to do it 3 years in a row. And especially after the heartbreaking losses that they've had in the playoffs. Yeah, and now you're talking about injuries to to Drew Brees' thumb on his right hand, on his throwing hand.
And he's 41.
Yeah, it's hard to do that again, man. And Drew Brees is not getting any younger. And guess what? Our defensive line is getting younger. It's a lot younger now. It's a lot more dynamic. Our defensive backfield is more dynamic. It's hard to do that over and over. You have to capitalize on the opportunities when you have them. And the Saints didn't do that, and I don't think they're gonna do it again for a 3rd year.
You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. We bring you the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. In a few minutes, we're going to go to Raphael Esparza from MyBookie.ag, so stick around for that. Let's go ahead, guys, and now move on to our picks when it comes to the NFC South. That's how we like to do it, because just picking our game each week is just us picking ourselves. Right now, I think, all right, so we got the Panthers, the Jacksonville Jaguars obviously coming to Carolina. Panthers are 3.5-point favorites. I'm going to just mark myself down as a homer. There's no reason to pick against my team right now. We're on a 2-game win streak. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on a 2-game win streak. This is a coin flip type of a game if you're a gambler. I'm not a gambler, so don't listen to me on that. I'm a homer. And right now, I'm okay with the boyish looks of Kyle Allen and the steely reserve of this defense right there. Carolina keeps pounding in there and honors guys like Steve Smith. Jordan Gross pulls out a gritty win. I think it will be a low-scoring game. I think the Panthers win like something like 20-17.
Tony, don't lie. You're a casual fan, man.
You're right.
It's been proven. You're a casual fan.
What a casual, dude.
You're right.
What a casual.
Hey, real quick, can you give the what's the score right now as far as rankings for the year ago?
I haven't counted them up. Cody's in the lead. Cody's in the lead. Let's just go put it that way. Cody's in the lead.
Last.
Yeah, me too. I'm like crawling at you. I'm like trying to take it away from you each week.
I'm in the lead. You said I'm in the lead?
You got to be. Like you've made good picks each week, and we haven't.
All right. Well, let me do it again, dude. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my Panthers are going to win 27-20.
Okay.
And I'm excited about the matchup. Here's a casual fan question: are we at home? Yeah, you're going. Yeah, we're at home.
Yeah. So we're coming to your house.
Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, okay. So I'm saying Carolina 27-20. I'm confident.
Okay.
All right, Greg.
I gotta agree with all y'all. I'm gonna go Carolina, and I'm gonna go 24-21. Carolina.
All right.
CK.
This one out. I think that we're gonna save the end by our kicker. So
CK.
I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic and say I'm gonna do a bold prediction on mine too, but I'm gonna say the Panthers win, and I think we hold them to 10 points.
Ooh, I like it.
You guys got to remember, we held the Texans, who have one of the more explosive offenses, to 10 points.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. We don't have an explosive offense coming to town.
CK is a genius.
So 10 points, and I think we score 28, not because our offense. I think we got 2 defensive scores.
Oh, CK and I are going to be going ballistic
okay.
in the stands when that happens. I love it.
Is that
love that.
defense or defense special teams?
Defense special teams, because that's going to count both for my
Ray.
I got you. Yes, sir.
All right, so next up on the list is Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a 3-point favorite. They never lose. Do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stun? How can the Saints keep winning right now? I mean, they're good. I mean, they're that dang good on both sides. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think they played the Cowboys. And
they played the Cowboys. They played the Rams. They played the Cowboys and the Rams. They played good teams.
They lost to the Rams.
Barely beat us.
The Cowboys.
They beat Seattle. They beat Seattle in Seattle.
I'm taking the Saints. I'm taking the Saints.
I'm taking the
Saints. I can't do it.
Well, is the Saints against Tampa?
Yeah,
who's at home?
And it's going to be 31.
The Saints are at home.
It's going to be 31-28 Saints. That's what I'm saying.
I'm going to say 35-24 Tampa Bay, baby. Let's go.
Look at the guy. He's got big nuts. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, Greg. What you got?
I'm gonna go 17-14 Saints.
Oh, I like that. That's a good score right there.
It's going to be the opposite of the last week. 17-14 Saints.
Well, yeah, low scoring game against the Cowboys. Always bet the under. Always bet the under on Saints Cowboys. Every year it's a snoozer.
Yeah.
You guys got to remember last week against the Cowboys defense, which I would almost equate to the Tampa Bay defense, maybe even not as good. They held them to 4 field goals, and that was 12 points. So I think it's fair to say that the Saints could very well be underperforming here and go under 20 points. And I could see a situation where Teddy Bridgewater is flustered by Shaq Barrett and defensive line, and he throws more interceptions than Jameis Winston does. So I'm going to say 14-28 Tampa Bay.
No.
Oh, man, on the same page. I do just want to say that's kind of my thought, is that I think Tampa Bay, I think their offense, I think that's their strong side of the football. And Jameis Winston did have, a career performance against Los Angeles. And everyone knows whenever you go into the Superdome, everyone's throwing for 300, 400 yards. It's one of those kinds of places. I think Jameis and Arians pull off another upset.
All right, so here, just to put this in perspective, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus Panthers is a 41 over-under, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers is New Orleans Saints. No, I'm. You know what? I think I was starting to get convinced by. Oh, CK had 28-10, so that was 40. That's still under. I'm taking the under in the Panthers game if I was going to do it, but I don't bet, so it doesn't matter. And then
I
on
said
top,
35-24.
Right.
Yeah, that's the over for Cody, and then for the Tampa Bay game, the over/under is 47. I'm still taking the under. I'm taking the unders on all of these games. The last one is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Houston Texans. Very similar to the game of last week, except for the Falcons are trending down. The Panthers were getting their legs. It's a 5-point spread favorite for Houston. We were 4 at one point, and then we were 4. I think I swear we were 4 to start, and then it flipped to 6 for Arizona. But the over/under is 48. Atlanta Falcons are the dogs here. So you got Falcons at Texans. Do the Texans bounce back? I hate the Falcons because I hate the Falcons, number one. Number two, they're going to lose every game that they should lose. They're just ridiculous. Like how they lose to the shittiest teams, and then they play us, and then
they're spoilers.
And
the definition of spoilers. Yeah.
All right. So I'm picking, fuck them. Fuck the Atlanta Falcons. I'm taking the Houston Texans, and the Houston Texans are going to blow out the Atlanta Falcons. It's going to be 35-10. So I'm taking the damn over. Nope. Still on the under. Yep. 35-10, Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson so pissed about last week. Single-handedly murders Matt Ryan.
Okay. And the entire Atlanta defense. I'm kind of on the same track. I think Deshaun and DeAndre bounce back, have a big game. I'm going to go 27-12, Houston.
Wow. Okay.
12? How do you even get 12? Only field goals?
Hey man, there's some dumb shit could always happen.
All right,
Yeah.
What you got, Greg?
I'm gonna go Texans, and I'm gonna go 35-24 Texans.
Yeah, I think that's
All right.
good. That's a good score right there. It's gonna be. These teams the Falcons always like to put up points, even though they always like to lose.
Right.
CK, what you got?
As much as I hate to say it, I think the Falcons may come back on this, and they have a lot to prove. And I think if they
You've been Mr. Contrarian all night.
I know.
I love it.
Hey,
I love it, man. I'm fine with it.
Hey, he's trying to win.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I'm betting against the odds here because I think I'm a little behind here. But I think the Falcons. I don't think it's a dominant win, and I don't think it's enough to turn people around on the season that the Falcons are having. But I just I think that offensive line of the Texans and the fact that Deshaun Watson, he's so inconsistent. I think the Falcons can pull this out. I'm gonna say 28-21 Falcons.
Oh, all right, okay.
All of these. You know what I love about this is I can see each one of these games happening.
Nice.
You know, like you can visualize every score. And that just means there's an infinite of possibilities. That's why we love football. That's why we love football.
Yeah.
If this was to here's the best question here. Everybody across the board picked the Panthers, right? Oh, surprise here. Homerism, right? So the Panthers would move to what, 3-2?
Mm-hmm. I just want to say the last 2 weeks in a row, I did not pick the Panthers.
Me neither.
So, yeah, I was not on the show. I had to leave early, but I texted my picks before the game.
That's because you ran and hid like a biatch.
I shut the hell up. and then I texted you my picks. But this week I'm going back on track. I'm calling it like I see it. But yeah, so don't call me a homer.
All right, so the Saints. All right, listen to this: is that we all have the Panthers advancing to 3-2. I have the Saints advancing to 4-1. Cody has them falling to 3-2. Greg has them advancing to 4-1, and CK has them falling to 3-2. Continuing on that, I have the Texans advancing over who? Who's that? The Texans are playing the Falcons. Yeah. So who are missing in here? Where's my Tampa Bay pick? I picked.
They play
Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
They play the Saints. All right, so good. I don't have to have one less game. All right, so then I'm picking this is that they would fall. What's their record right now? 2-2.
Dude, Tampa Bay or the Saints?
No. What is Falcons' record? 1-3. So I'm thinking they fall to 1-4. Cody thinks that they advance to 2 what would that be? 2-3.
Yeah.
2-3, right? And then Greg says that they fall to 1-4, and then CK says that they advance to 2-3. So at the end of the week, then, if that's the case, I'm saying the Saints continue the lead. Everybody else is really saying that the Panthers. Greg's saying this. Greg and I are saying that the Panthers will be a game back. But if Cody and CK are right, we are tied for the lead. Huh.
Yeah.
How you like that math?
Yeah.
It was very confusing as I did
tied
it.
for the lead with Tampa Bay, and they have the tiebreaker. But we're not really tied for the lead. We're still one game.
They would have.
I have them losing, though. I've got them losing.
But the only way we're tied for the lead
if
is
they
if
were.
win.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
we're talking about their
we
picks.
have the same record, but
Right.
Yeah.
But they have the tiebreaker.
But we're in. All right. I'd like to welcome Raphael Esparza, the headline maker from MyBookie.ag, your place to go, bet, play, get paid.
Thanks for having me.
Crazy things going on, like the Bucks going in there and upsetting the Rams. That brings it. That's wild. And I thought that line was forgiving for the Panthers or for bettors last week at 4. So you never know. That's why they got to play the games, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the bigger helpers that we needed as the Panthers came out and squeaked out a victory. The public was all over Houston, opened up like around 3.5, 4. Tons of parlays and teasers came in the Texans that closed around 5, 5.5. So that was a big win for us. So back in the offices, we were all Carolina Panther fans with you guys last weekend.
That's I guess that makes sense. You guys are rooting against us. We're rooting against you. What news coming out of last week has the greatest impact on the lines this week?
I think, it's just the success that your quarterback, Allen, is doing. Who would have thought? Talk about a great headline between Allen and you got Minshew, or Jacksonville's quarterback. Talk about two quarterbacks that, if you would have told me we would have saw these two quarterbacks play as starters, I would have said that's probably 1,000,000 to 1. But here we go. So I can't wait to watch this game. And I think Carolina, that defense, what they did last week to Houston, only giving up 10 points, and I know they gave up 20 points to Arizona 2 weeks ago, but that defense was still all over the field, and it was a road game, back-to-back wins on a road. Now you come home, high-fiving your chest up. I think it might be a very long evening for Jacksonville on this Sunday.
Well, the Panthers' defense is number 1 in the league in the stopping the pass, so that's a big deal for us. And the defense did take some bad news with the KK Short going on IR today, but we've got a lot of horses in the stable. There's some big lines this week, Raphael. There, I saw 16, some 14, and then there's some real tight ones too. How do you bet? How do you navigate that as a bettor?
We just pray that Washington shows up, Miami shows up, and the bettors. Luckily the bettors last week took Miami plus the points against the Chargers, so we got in that one. But wow, you think New England's going to lay back-to-back eggs? Especially on offense. I think they beat Washington because that's embarrassing. But for the closer ones, like the Ravens, Steelers, because Pittsburgh winning that big game last night on Monday night, we try to control that game, try to not get outrageous. Houston, Atlanta, everyone's just downplaying Atlanta. So we need to keep an eye on games like that because right now the public would be all over Houston just because, let's face it, the Atlanta Falcons are probably one of the most disappointing teams besides the Chargers right now in the league. So I can guarantee you we'll all be Atlanta Falcon fans on Sunday because the public will push that Houston game probably up to a solid 6 by kickoff.
What is the prop bet on Dan Quinn having a job by week 8? If you were going to set that line, what would be the prop bet on Dan Quinn if you were going to set it right now? How would you even go about it?
I would say no would be probably -$5 because in the NFL, they rarely fire head coaches. It's not like the NBA or baseball where you just start off slow and they fire you in between season. The NFL, that's why Black Monday NFL is so popular because by Monday, like by 12:01 Monday morning, we could see Quinn out. We could see Washington's head coach out. Your boy is getting his butt saved with Allen winning games because Rivera was probably threatened to be maybe gone if they didn't win some of these games. So, yeah, in the NFL, it's just so hard to predict that if they're going to fire in the middle of the season.
How do you bet the Vikings? You look at that game, it's the Bears' defense. Is it the Bears' defense, which we know is just crazy in the front? But Cousins, you hear the comments from Thielen about how they have to be able to go over the top. How do you bet the Vikings given it's so hard to forecast them?
You bet them when they're at home, and you try to fade them on the road because I think that's their road troubles. And New York Giants' defense is not bad, so they're going to put pressure. I'm a little shocked on how high that number is, Vikings -6. I don't think they deserve a -6 on a road favorite against anybody in this league. But let's face it, they played the Chicago Bears. That Bears defense reminds me so much of the Baltimore Ravens defense when they won the Super Bowl. And you know what's a Super Bowl ring? Trent Dilfer. Can you see maybe Trubinsky or the backup quarterback or the third-string quarterback winning a Super Bowl for the Bears? Because if they make it to the playoffs, it's going to be on their defense, not their offense.
Their offense looked better with Chase Daniel at the helm, that's for sure. Now, last question about the league, and then we'll turn to the South very quickly. Is Dallas the same as always? Are they real, or how do they get snubbed like that on the road? I thought they were going to make quick and easy work of the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, me too. I had to eat a lot of crow last week because I said the Cowboys and the Indianapolis Colts had the best offensive line, and both of them couldn't run the ball last week. So I'm full eating crow these last couple of days. I was a little bit blown away on how well the Saints defense just shut down Zeke and that offense. I think they bounced back at home against the Packers. But, boy, they just laid it. That was a bad loss for the Cowboys right there. They had the Saints at home, no Drew Brees. The Saints were banged up on offense, even without Drew Brees. They should have won that game. They're going to kick themselves all season long about that.
We should always take the under in Saints Dallas. It seems like every time they go play, they never put up any points. All right, moving to the NFC South. Panthers are 3.5 favorites facing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've been saying this for the last few days, is that against Houston, our defensive line needed to win. Against Jacksonville, our offensive line needed to win. Where do you see this game on Sunday? Is this line going to stay pretty steady, you think?
I think if it does move, it moves up a half a point to 4, but I totally agree with you. That offensive line of the Carolina Panthers needs to win that game. I'm not saying that the defense doesn't have to take a vacation day, but I think the Carolina Panthers will be able to score out of Jacksonville Jaguars defense, and that's what they need. They need to run the ball early, give Allen some pressure off his back, and I think they'll be able to control it. I would not be shocked if the betting public pushes this one up to 4.
Every other week you pick the Bucks, or maybe you don't. Maybe that's how I'm going to do it every other week. The Saints are is it in New Orleans? I think it's in New Orleans.
Yes, it's in New Orleans.
Bucks Saints are 3.5 favorites. Bucks go up and put up the most points they've ever done in their team history, and the Rams in a stunning game. Catch them sleeping. This is the Saints all the way, isn't it?
You would think so, but the wise guy action is the last 24 hours is all on Tampa Bay. They like the plus points. They like the plus 3.5. There were some 4s even popped up earlier because this number opened up around 5. So wise guy action likes Tampa Bay. I think I'm going to wait to see how low this gets. If I can get the Saints under 3, that's a big victory at home against the Cowboys, and now they get to play Tampa Bay. I'm looking to play the Saints on this game.
All right, Falcons at Texans, I believe. What's on your mind there? 5-point favorites, Houston Texans.
Yeah, I think the public's going to fade Atlanta for the rest of the season until they prove us wrong. Jump on Houston if you like them now, because there's no way this 5 stays before kickoff. I can guarantee you Houston's going to be one of the biggest parlay, teasered, and action bet all day long on Sunday. Grab Houston now because that 5 won't last long.
All right, Raphael, I know you got to run. Tell them where they need to go to place these bets and get these wins this weekend.
Go over to MyBookie.ag. Still have that 100% sign-up bonus. That means if you put up $200 today, we're going to throw an additional $200 into your account. We have great reload bonuses. We have 2 Thursday college football games, 2 Friday college football games, a whole slate of college football on Saturday, NFL on Sunday. It's a great way to spend the weekend. Just watch football all day.
Make sure you use the promo code OVERTIME when you do that. Raphael, we'll catch up with you next week, my man.
Take it easy. Enjoy that Carolina victory.
All right. Thanks a lot for squeezing me in. So you're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast. We've done about all we can do tonight. We've talked about Cam. We actually didn't talk about we didn't talk about the Cam Newton video. We do have to say something about it. We got to say something about it.
Y'all go ahead because I didn't watch the full video.
So Tony and I know we had some differing opinions. You said that it didn't hearten you as much as it did others, but to me, let me just say this, man. I wish more players would do this, and I love that Cam Newton does it because you're never going to get the truth from some bullshit press conference with a bunch of reporters asking questions, and the players are annoyed. It's fresh off the back of the football game. I love when players are able to kind of take the narratives for themselves. And, the fact that Cam Newton, listen, I knew he was not himself when he was playing against Tampa Bay. Call Cam inaccurate or whatever the hell you want. He's not that fucking inaccurate, man. So
yeah, we all said that. Everybody agreed about that.
Yeah, it made
we all knew something was wrong.
Knowing that there was a problem, and I feel it's apparent to everyone. Allen doesn't have the talent that Cam Newton does have. So let our quarterback get healthy, get to the place that he needs to be in, and then let's roll, man. I'm happy that he put out the video. I'm not disappointed that he lied because I feel it's the same mentality. It's a warrior spirit. You want to be out there.
All right. Are you being
football.
too forgiving here? Let's talk about that. The lying about an injury. He said not lying about it, hiding it. That's what he said. He hid the injury. He didn't lie about it. He hid it. How do you guys feel about that terminology and him doing this What is your opinion when you hear him say that then of him, the coaching staff, and the medical staff? Like, right, because then you have to draw opinions about Cam Newton, or you don't have to, but you do.
No.
And then, but like, what is your thoughts after you hear that statement? I hid this injury. Has it changed anything about Cam, medical staff, or coaching staff in your eyes?
Absolutely not. I'm telling you, he is the only one who's been man enough to admit that he's hiding injuries. Right? Every freaking quarterback in the league has probably hit an injury.
Yeah.
It's just that Cam Newton is the only one trying to have his coaches back to say, listen, this wasn't necessarily all on them. You know, he could have sat back and he could have said, all right, everybody's kind of blaming the coaching staff and not me, so let's go ahead and just let that roll. No, he
did fall on it. He fell on it for Ron Rivera. But why hide anything? In this type of work environment, if I was working like this, if we were working as a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we were on some sort of project, it was you, myself, Cody, and Greg, and I had something going on, I would want to be able to share it with you guys, even if I say, look, I think I can play for it. But, like, why can't you even share the details about it? Because my mind has changed. To me, I keep coming back to the medical staff. Is that, like, fine, you hit it, like, oh, it don't hurt that bad. But, like, no, this is supposedly a significant injury. Like, how do we not – I don't know. I just don't like the lines of communication there. I wish they were better. And maybe maybe I'm being naive.
I think based on the verbiage that I remember from the video, it wasn't that they knew that it was a Liz Frank from the get-go. It's that he knew that it was he knew he was hurt. And he was rehabbing, and he felt like he was back to a position where he could still give his team the best opportunity to win. And then after that, you know, he was like, yeah, there's something deeper that's wrong here. And that's when the Liz Frank, I think, was discovered, because I think they just thought it was a midfoot sprain, and that was all they thought it was.
Why could he have not just been more open and honest with Rivera? Because we all saw Rivera frustrated. We saw him frustrated with the media, and I think that's truly he was frustrated with Cam because he knew Cam wasn't giving him the freaking real deal. And I heard I also heard Darren Gant say today that part of this is because since Cam Newton walked into the building, no one has ever told him no one about nothing, like he runs the building. So I just feel like, gosh, like why does Cam have to hide it? Even if he was hurt, like you would want to talk and make these decisions together as a team. And when I say a team, Ron Rivera, Marty Herney, and him, and the trainer together, I feel like they should all be talking about it together. I don't like those lines of communication, but I am naive.
Let me just say before Greg jumps in, dude, I am not sorry for Ron Rivera. Oh, it caught him by surprise. Agreed. Oh, it should have told him. Boo fucking who, dude? You played him last year at the end of the season when you knew that his shoulder was messed up, and you continued to play him and run him into the ground when you knew that this football team wasn't going anywhere. And then this season, Cam Newton is trying to be Superman, trying to be the best player on the football team and put himself out there for his teammates. And then now it's like people want to blame him for that. Like, it's like we were talking about Christian McCaffrey earlier. McCaffrey wanted to be out there on all those snaps. These guys are warriors. But sometimes when you don't feel yourself, then, you know, something has to happen for you to say, hey, I'm not myself. I need to take some time. So I don't give a damn about if that made Ron Rivera's job harder or whatever. He could have ended Cam Newton's career last year. So tough titty, said the kid, but the milk's still good.
Why is that sound? You're too cool. That's why you're everybody's favorite, Cody. Nice. On top of that, is smooth as all get out. But why is there no heat on the medical staff?
You know why? Because it all comes down to win-losses, man. That's what it all comes down to. Let me ask you something. Last year, we knew Cam Newton was hurt. He lost 7 games in a row. Had Cam Newton won 2 of those games and we made it in the playoffs and we lost in the first round of the playoffs, would you be saying the same thing about Cam Newton right now as you did then? Winning changes everything, man. If Cam Newton wins one of those games, and we win the Tampa Bay game or the LA game, and we're 3-1 right now, do you think people would have the same narrative about Cam Newton as they do right now? Winning changes everything.
True facts.
I don't care what you say. It changes everything, man.
It does.
Brandon Herbert, you pick on Cam Newton all the time, but I promise you that if we had been, if he'd have won those 2 games, we'd be 4-0 right now. Even if he was sitting, your narrative would be different about Cam Newton. Like, it's the way it is. My narrative would be different about Cam Newton. I'm not excluding myself.
Right.
Like, I'm a victim of the moment. It's what happens. When you win a game, it changes everything. With last week when he when Allen had 3 turnovers and we won the game after 16 points, do you know that teams that scored less than 16 points lose the game 87% of the time?
Yeah,
so
I'm surprised
in that negative part
I'm surprised it's not more.
In that small minority part of winning the game. If we lost that game, do you think people would be praising Kyle Allen right now?
All right, here's my next question. Yeah,
everything.
I think it's a good point. Next question about the video and this is where I didn't come away heartened. Is that I'm with you, Cody. Like, I like that the players opening up. I like having the direct line. Hell, I got our interview by just asking a dude on Twitter today and shaming him and then coming on the show. Right? I mean, I like that.
And it worked.
Yeah, I like that. I like being able, the idea that I can leave a comment on Cam Newton's video and at least his publicist might see it or something. Yeah, I'm totally into this. I'm totally into the whole. So I'm not upset with him smoking the cigar, drinking the wine, or the way he's dressed. None of that bothers me. The thing that concerned me was certain language used. Now, I don't want to hold people too much to, like, we got to dance on every word. Maybe, actually, I am maybe dancing on every word. Maybe that's exactly what I'm doing. He used this phrase several times and to describe what was happening for him is that he needed to step away from the game. He used that phrase several times. Now, you can say that he just meant, like, I need to get away from I need to let Kyle be his own man and not my presence be distracting, as he would say distractive, but distracting as as I'm rehabbing. I don't want this to be about me. I want it to be about the Carolina Panthers. Maybe that's what he meant. But he did say this several times. He said, I need to step away from the game. And you said it a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, Cody, is that you cannot help, no matter even if it's not true, to draw the comparisons to Andrew Luck. Even if it's not a real comparison, we can't help but do it. And when you not? Yeah, and when you hear those words, he said it over. I want to step away from the game. Like, it was like there was 2 things that I brought away from this. Or 3. At the very best, it was everything's okay, and this is Kyle Allen's team now, and I need him to feel comfortable, and the lure of Cam not overshadow him. That's the best case scenario. The second scenario is that this is him saying not distancing himself from the game, but distancing himself from the Carolina Panthers. That's another scenario. And then the third scenario is him truly saying this is not just rehabbing, but stepping away from the game. And maybe if you want to say there's a 4th scenario, it's just him working on rehab and he doesn't care about Kyle Allen at all.
It could be. I mean, I don't know.
Did it bother you? Did the language, did it sit with you? How did it sit with you?
I mean, it didn't. Okay, so, he's taking time away from football. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, the words.
You're not. If you're recovering, you're not. You're recovering for football. You're not away from football.
Well, and that's another thing, which I'm assuming that Cam is still in the building in team meetings and stuff. I mean, unless some of you know different, I'm assuming that he's still there and that he's still a part of team activities.
He said that he's going to support Kyle Allen. So, I mean, I don't think that he's absent. And honestly, I almost expect him to be on the sideline, at least in some capacity, against the Jaguars. The typical, and a lot of people are trying to compare the Drew Brees being on the sideline for the Saints. And the thing is, he wasn't on the sideline when they went to Seattle. It's not the injured players don't travel with the team. That's how it is.
He was there the game he got injured. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
And so the thing that we run into is, a lot of people, and you also don't want him sitting there standing on that foot if he's rehabbing it.
Or another thing, or the other optic is every time Kyle Allen does something wrong, you pan over to see what Cam Newton looks like. That's not good for anybody either.
No.
It's not good for Cam, because if Cam makes one poor face, the whole internet and the whole world crashes. If that's so maybe it is good. I think home games might be okay, Put him up in the booth with Tepper. That's what I want to see. That is what I want to see.
By the way, I just want to give props to CK, man. CK, you brought the heat tonight, man.
He did.
I agree with damn near everything that you said tonight. And that last point about, dude, I'm telling you, my brother's a Saints fan. I hear, oh, Drew Brees is on the sideline. Where's Cam Newton? Cam Newton has a foot injury. Why would he be standing around on the sideline for 4 hours when he's rehabbing his fucking foot? It makes zero sense in the world. People just say dumb shit, man. But kudos to you, man.
All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast. We got one last thing to do, and that's the ice some fools up. All right. Well, you guys go ahead because I need to gather my thoughts a little bit. Who's ready to go with their ice up pick?
I'll go.
Go ahead. Man, go for
it. Cody, this one's a little close to home for you, man, but I am icing up Jay Bateman. He is the defensive back coordinator or the defensive coordinator for the Tar Heels. Okay. And I waited until the fourth quarter to message you this week about the Carolina Clemson game. There was one play that we gave up that lost the game for us, and that was a cover two that the defensive back or the safety that was supposed to be covering that back of the field bit on a wide receiver, and we let a guy run right up the seam and score a touchdown. Great pass by Trevor Lawrence, but that lost the game right there for us. We were playing great defense the whole game. And here's my thing is I looked him up, and I'm trying to think about ice up picks. Jay Bateman is 22 years old, right? And he is in his first year with Carolina as the defensive coordinator, okay? But he's been with the Army defensive coordinator for 5 years. So if he's 22 and he's been a defensive coordinator for 5 years for the Army, that means he was 17 when he was the defensive coordinator for the Army, which blows my mind. You're way too young to be doing what you're doing. You messed up this pick this week. You lost the game for us. Sorry, hate to say it, but I'm going to put it on one play. Jay Bateman, ice up. I'm a little sour about the Carolina Clemson game. So,
all right. Well, listen, I guess since mine is a little bit related. Listen, I try and keep my Clemson Tiger talk away from my Panther talk. But tonight, I'm talking about my Tigers, man. Everyone's saying that we're a fraud. Everyone's saying that Clemson's overrated. Oh, you almost lost to North Carolina, this and that. Instead of giving North Carolina the credit they deserve, people saying Trevor Lawrence is overrated. It's the dumbest shit in the world, man. Listen, Clemson playing in the ACC, if they don't win a game by 30 points, everyone's shouting overrated. Okay, Trevor Lawrence is 68-2 as a starting quarterback if you combine high school and college. Okay, the dude is still going to be the number one pick in the draft. He still makes throws that no one else is capable of. They're putting more emphasis on him being able to change stuff at the offensive line. Clemson is going to be in the playoffs. We're going to steamroll whatever SEC team, Big Ten team comes our way. And we're going to be in the national championship game.
Oh, I can't wait.
Again, baby. Let's go.
Wait.
Ice up to all the haters, doubting my Tigers. All in, baby. We're going to roll. Ice up, son.
Man, so this is going to be a little bit of self-deprecation, I suppose. I'm going to ice up myself and all fans like me.
Been there.
Right? And what I mean
there.
by that,
totally been there before, brother.
What I mean by this is I gave up on this team after the first 2 weeks. Gave up. Had no faith, no identity with who we were going to be. I just was like, great, I'm going to go watch 4 home games and watch us just be beat, by everybody that we face. And I just lost all confidence. And this is coming off of an off season I felt was like one of our best that I hadn't been more optimistic about a season than I did this season. And to see what we were able to do without Cam Newton at the helm, it's got to get you excited for when he does come back. But anybody who's sitting there, icing, this is maybe a little bit of other people than myself, but anybody who is so adamant about us versus them type of situation who say, if you want Cam Newton at the helm, you're just trash talking Kyle Allen, or if you want Kyle Allen, you just trash talk Cam Newton. This is our team. These guys are teammates. They love each other, and let's not sit there and bash one over the other. Kyle Allen has gotten us 2 wins. Cam Newton has brought this franchise so far. It's safe to say, hey, listen, they both have contributed. Let's go ahead and treat them as though they are Carolina Panthers who have came and fought for us and as a fan to make sure we have something to cheer for. So, I just want to put it out there. When something that Tony said was out of the 3 things that they worry about needing to step away from the game, Cam Newton wanting to maybe step away from the Carolina Panthers. How do you not want to leave an organization that has 75% of the fan base saying that you're no longer going to be the quarterback? Like, who doesn't want you back?
Yeah.
So anyway, I set myself because I gave up.
Man, CK, I got to give you an icy high five, man.
An icy five. You know what I call that? An icy hot high five. Oh, that's so terrible. All right.
I love this.
That sounds terrible. All right. My ice up pick goes to, it's a different vein. This guy is the interim chancellor of East Carolina University, Dan Gerlach. He's been placed on leave or was placed on administrative leave Monday after photos and videos surfaced him over the weekend drinking. He was drinking at this bar at 519 where I used to pound the pavement at 519 for like all of eternity. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's our spot back in the, I mean, look, I live in this town, right? And that's the place that if you guys came into town and I don't go to the bars anymore and we wanted to go out like late on a Friday night, that's where we would go. So he's there. He's taking a shot with some people. He's struggling taking the shot. He's obviously had a few in him, right? But nothing over outlandish. Some pictures with him, like together with these girls, right? Not even, maybe standing very close to them, right? But also like in a bar. This stuff probably happens all the time. Anyway, he's put on administrative leave because he was taking selfies and interacting with, quote, college-age young adults, and he was placed on administrative leave for this. I think this is wrong to do this. Not that I'm saying that this is ultimately a good look or professional look, but I don't think that people should lose. Look, I think that we would all lose our jobs. Right? I mean, this is it. It's very simple. This means this is a premise that everybody lose their jobs. I think if anything, you should put him on administrative leave is he looks like the biggest doofus, right, in the history of the world. And as someone who works in academia and has run in circles of big doofuses, he is like that. You know what? We should just probably put him on leave because he's a giant freaking nerd who's drunk downtown. Not and who happened to become the chancellor, not because he did something wrong, but because he's a giant fucking nerd, and he's probably shouldn't be the chancellor, period, in the first place. But we all are doofuses when we're drunk, and I just think this: I'm for employment. I support employment. Let's not unemploy people for reasons that are unnecessary. And if you, like Jesus said, ye who are without sin, cast the first stone. Ye who have not been at an adult bar and drunk, cast the first stone. What's next? The man goes to the strip club, which they advertise that you get free entry after a Panthers game, and then someone takes a picture of you, you lose your job. What is the world coming to?
Yeah, Tony, I agree with you, man. Like, we ask so much of these teachers to be a part of our kids' lives, especially on that level. Like, that's a different level than like elementary school and middle school. Like,
it is.
He's
running a billion-dollar organization, essentially.
Yeah, and as long as they're not doing any harm, like they have every right to go out and have a beer at a bar that anybody else does. And I gotta agree with you, man. Like,
or to look stupid. Like, that's the thing is, he had a beer and he looks kind of like a dumbass. But it's not anything that I think someone should lose their job over. So to these people, I say, ice up. Stop internet lynching people, folks. Let's make the world better together by using Twitter like I did. Instead of lynching people, shame them into coming on to the C3 Panthers podcast. That works. My name's Tony Dunn.
It does.
We'll be here after the game on Sunday. Actually, we won't be here. We'll be hanging out at Cody's house. CK, I hope you're going to be able to carve out a little extra time. We're going to be driving home late. My wife is going to be pissed. It don't matter, though. We're going to do the post-game show. Follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Cody, how can they get after you?
At Cody Lack, CODYLAC on Twitter. I changed my handle to Shit Post Malone because everybody tells me that I look like Post Malone. So it's like, all right, fine. I'm dropping Shit Post. I'm Shit Post Malone, dude. So I hope you get a laugh out of that.
He's fighting back. Greg, how can they follow you?
You can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter. You can also find my other show at SCS Podcast 1 on Twitter. We talk about TV, movie, comic books, pretty much anything that has to do with Geek Universe or sports. Well, we don't do sports.
Oh, perfect. I will refer. I know a guy who has plenty of time on his hands. His name is Chancellor Gerlach. He can come on the show. He's a big goober who doesn't have a job anymore.
Yeah.
all right, CK. How can they
you can hit me up on Twitter at @CodeDizzleAllen.
That was
just
funny.
how it sounds.
You know it was funny. All right.
That's his name on Twitter.
Hey, that's also my PlayStation handle as well. Anybody who wants to hop on.
Right on.
Oh, shit.
I'll
add you, man. I'll add you tonight.
It's a great handle. All right, we'll see you guys after the game on Sunday. Long show, shouldn't have been this long, but you know how we do. We'll see you we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah.
Peace and love. Keep
Peace, guys. Keep pounding.
Day. Long show, shouldn't have been this long. Wrong window. And stream. And that bitch.
So Cody, I need y'all's PlayStation handles so that way we can play some Call of Duty.
I don't have Call of Duty right now. I wanted to get it, but I didn't end up getting it. I might get the Modern Warfare when it comes out.
Okay. What about you, Cody?
What is it? I play a lot of Monster Hunter World. I've been playing. I got Madden too. I just picked that up. I got Tekken 7. I love all the fighting games, dude. I'm into all that shit. I really don't have a lot of shooters on my PlayStation. Yeah. If I play shooters, it's on my PC, man.
Do you play No Man's Sky?
No, I haven't played it.
I have.
Man,
I
love that game.
I don't have it though.
Oh, I love that game. You have to check it out.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You could turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.